Chapter 5504. Frozen Moon's Silk, one of the four great beauties of the demon god clan's younger generation. Suyi discovered that Kang Shinmu was observing her, so he quietly moved closer to Kang Shinmu's ear. What do you think? Is this woman beautiful? She's also very strong. It's a pity that the imperial Bing family she belongs to is showing signs of decline. The bloodline of the clan has withered. They want to rise up, but don't have that many descendants. She's transformed into the 0-degree demon god. How do I know if she's beautiful or not? Kang Shinmu was somewhat helpless. He was only observing her strength. It was very likely that she would be a strong opponent. In Jiang Shenwu's estimation, this frozen moon silk strength was probably not much weaker than Su Tianhao's. It was even possible that she was stronger than Su Tianhao. Because this frozen moon silk seemed to be hiding some kind of power. Of course, this was what the demon god ancestor Mo Ye's consciousness told Kang Shinmu. The 0 degrees demon god was originally a woman. Therefore, the experts of the imperial Bing family were basically all women. But not every woman of the imperial Bing family could rise up. It also depended on talent and luck. And what Mo Ye told Kang Shinmu was that this frozen moon silk's luck was pretty good. She was born with the super powerful bloodline power of the 0 degrees demon god. Therefore, she could unleash 100% of the 0 degrees demon god's power. And the others of the 0 degrees demon god could only unleash 50% of the 0 degrees demon god's power. If they couldn't activate their bloodline power, their battle strength would naturally be greatly reduced. 0 degrees demon god, Sai. She was once this lord's confidant. Her strength speaks for itself. It's a pity that the current imperial Bing family is actually ranked last among the 24 imperial Bing families. The demon god ancestor Mo Ye lamented. With his words, Kang Shinmu paid more attention to this frozen moon silk. This woman was probably a strong opponent. Then, how much of the 0 degrees demon god's power can the current patriarch of the imperial Bing family unleash? Kang Shinmu secretly asked Mo Ye's consciousness. 80%. Therefore, this frozen moon silk is practically destined to become the Ice imperial family's patriarch in the future. She will bring the 0 degrees devil god to greater heights. The ancestor of the demon god was quite confident in this. He knew everything about the demon god clan like the back of his hand. With just a glance, he already knew the gist of it. The frozen moon silk can unleash the full power of the 0-degree demon god bloodline. Doesn't that mean that it's the same as a 16-winged heavenly demon god fully comprehending the 16-winged combat laws? She is a complete inheritor. Kang Shinmu narrowed his eyes. Mo Ye, on the other hand, indicated that she had only unleashed 70% of her bloodline power when fighting against the celestial fiend puppets. From this, it could be seen that this young girl was plotting something big. Perhaps, she wanted to obtain a higher individual ranking so that she could choose a territory that was more suitable for the Bing imperial family. For example, everyone knew that the Devil Spring Abyss was a treasure land that could nurture at least 2 peerless experts in 3 years. That must be something that only the first place could obtain. With the current strength of the frozen moon silk, it was not impossible for her to obtain first place. Her cultivation base was at the 5th level of the transcendent god realm. If she fully unleashed the power of her bloodline, coupled with a good demonic weapon, her battle strength had definitely surpassed Su Tianhao. One had to know that Su Tianhao had not even fully comprehended the 14-winged combat laws. Not to mention the 16-winged ones. Therefore, the gap between Su Tianhao and the frozen moon silk was quite obvious. If you go against the frozen moon silk, you must be careful. Kang Shinmu cautiously reminded Su Yi and Su Yi, this woman is not simple, she is very strong. Yes. Su Yi and Su Yi both firmly believed in Kang Shinmu and nodded solemnly. Su Tianhao, on the other hand, sneered when he heard this, looking somewhat disdainful. In his eyes, the Su imperial family was just a fallen royal family. It was not easy for them to produce a 5th-level transcendent god realm. What was there to care about? Su Tianhao immediately said, Kang Shinmu, what do you think of the frozen moon silk? She is very strong. Kang Shinmu told the truth. Strong? I can't see it. Su Tianhao paused and said, you can't have taken a fancy to her beauty, right? Indeed, this frozen moon silk is one of the 4 great beauties of our demon god clan's younger generation. Even Princess Su Yi does not have such a beautiful title. If you really like her, then I can understand. If you insist that this frozen moon silk is very strong, forgive me for not agreeing. When Su Tianhao said those words, the other people from the Su dynasty all laughed out loud. Some people were unhappy and mocked, Kang Shinmu, you are not honest. You have Princess Su Yi, but you still pay attention to other women, and one of the 4 great beauties, the frozen moon silk. You have let down the princess. That's right. I heard that the Bing imperial family was publicly recruiting a husband for the frozen moon silk last year. Unfortunately, they did not find anyone that could catch her eye. It can be seen that the frozen moon silk has high standards. Why don't you give it a try, Kang Shinmu? Maybe with your identity as the direct disciple of the dragon god Emperor Shi, you can make her look up to you. Who knows? Many people laughed and teased Kang Shinmu. Shut up, all of you. Su Yu spoke. He glanced at Su Tianhao, who was leading the group, with a hint of displeasure in his eyes. At this time, they were still fighting among themselves. What kind of scandal was this? I think that the frozen moon silk is indeed very strong. She is an opponent that needs to be careful of. Su Jiu was also looking at the frozen moon silk in the field, observing her every move. She was an unparalleled expert. So naturally, she could see that the frozen moon silk was hiding a lot of her strength. Perhaps she was a strong opponent to win first place. Since she made a bet with the Tuoba clan this time, she naturally wanted Kang Shinmu to win first place. It was necessary to be careful. Otherwise, once the boat failed, there would be no more chances. After all, the second round of the competition was a one-battle elimination system. As long as one lost, they would leave the field directly. The result would be confirmed, and there would be no chance for a comeback. Unfortunately, she glanced at Su Tianhao and the other younger generation of the Su clan. They seemed to have lost their vigilance. In their eyes, there was only the opponent of the Tuoba clan left. If this continued, the situation would not be good. Fortunately, Su Jiu's main focus was on Kang Shinmu. As long as Kang Shinmu paid enough attention to any opponent, it was very possible for him to win first place. She was quite familiar with Kang Shinmu's combat strength. Now, based on what she knew, Kang Shinmu could at least tie with the frozen moon silk and Tuoba clan. As for Su Tianhao, it was impossible for him to be a match for Jiang Shenwu. Not to mention that Kang Shinmu might have some hidden combat strength that he had never shown. Besides Tuoba clan and the frozen moon silk, Su Jiu glanced at the field and stopped at the Lydian clan. Obviously, although the Lydian clan was relatively low-key, they were extremely strong. Chapter 5505. After being reprimanded by Su Er, Su Tianhao and the other younger generation dared not to tease Kang Shinmu anymore. Kang Shinmu did not care. He already knew that the younger generation of the Su clan did not have a good impression of him. But it did not matter. He would not befriend them. On the other hand, the ice moon silk just now, the demon god ancestor even encouraged him to communicate with that girl. After all, the demon god ancestor and the 0 degrees demon god were once bosom friends. But Kang Shinmu was speechless. Bosom friend? The ancestor of the demon god probably wanted him to have some unclear relationship with the ice moon silk. That way, he would be able to unite the people of the Bing imperial clan. In the demon god ancestor's mind, Kang Shinmu wanted to become the strongest existence of the demon god clan and unify the entire demon god clan. But Kang Shinmu was not too interested in this. After all, it was too difficult. He was more interested in becoming a dragon spirit warrior. It would be easier than unifying the demon god clan. It should be known that no one had ever been able to unify the entire demon god clan. However, there were traces of the dragon-soul dragon warriors in history. There were still many dragon-soul dragon warriors cultivating in seclusion in the dragon-soul sacred tower. Between something that had been done before and something that had never been done before, it was clear which was harder and which was easier. Of course, Kang Shinmu could not be bothered to think about such a distant matter. Soon, it was the Su clan's turn. "I'll go first." Su Tianhao stood up and flew out with his 9 teammates, who had been arranged beforehand. He was full of confidence. Before he struck, not a single clan could withstand 35 attacks from a celestial fiend puppet. So, his goal this time was to surpass Tuoba Su and the 2 teams of the Tuoba clan, and withstand 35 attacks from the puppet. Kang Shinmu, Su Yi, and Su Yi did not move. This was Su Zhiyu's arrangement. Kang Shinmu and Su Tianhao were separated into 2 teams. Kang Shinmu, who was the strongest, would lead the weaker ones. Of course, Su Zhiyu did not think that Su Yi and Su Yi would be weaker than the other younger generation. After all, they had completely comprehended the 14-wing combat cultivation law. Therefore, as long as Su Yi and Su Yi didn't drag him down, Kang Shinmu alone could bring them along. In fact, Su Tianhao felt strange. Generally speaking, in this kind of situation, the 2 teams would rely on each other's strengths to make up for each other's weaknesses. The strong would lead the weak. In this case, both teams' rankings would be higher, which would be more beneficial to the overall ranking. But now, Su Tianhao found it strange. He was clearly the strongest in the Su royal family, so why wasn't he arranged to be with Su Yi and Su Yi? That's good too. This way, I can lead the other experts and obtain the highest result. Su Tianhao was nervous and excited at the same time. In his opinion, the patriarch definitely didn't want Su Yi, Su Yi, and Kang Shinmu to drag him down, so he split them up. This way, he would be able to obtain better results. This time, the pressure is great. With a strong enemy like Tuoba Su, it will be very difficult for me to obtain first place. I must not disappoint the patriarch and the others, Su Tianhao cheered himself on in his heart. The younger generation of the Su royal family that he led were not weak. They were from the 2nd level to the 5th level of the Transcendent God realm. There were even 2 5th-level Transcendent God realm experts with Su Tianhao. One had to know that in the younger generation of the Su royal family, there were only 4 people who had reached the 5th level of the Transcendent God realm. In other words, Su Tianhao brought 3 with him. In Su Tianhao's opinion, this was very good treatment. This was enough to show how much the patriarch valued him. Soon, they went on stage. The body of the 16-winged heavenly fiend celestial was transformed. The terrifying aura of the fiend celestial race spread out in all directions. And this time, each of them had more or less comprehended the 14-wing combat cultivation law. Their understanding of the power of their bloodline was deeper. Feeling the aura of Su Tianhao and the others, the expressions of many people changed slightly. So strong. The younger generation of the Su royal family were clearly a level stronger than before. What aura is this? This is the result of everyone deepening their understanding of the inheritance. They seem to be able to fully unleash the combat power of the 12 wings. Not only that, they seem to be able to unleash some of the combat power of the 14 wings. While the crowd was discussing, the attacks of the fiend celestial puppets began. The first wave. Su Tianhao and the others were still very serious. Each of them released a terrifying defensive demonic martial skill. The transcendent defensive demonic martial skill formed a layer of pitch-black buttocks, easily blocking the first wave of attacks from the fiend celestial puppets. Then came the second wave, the third wave. The attacks of the fiend celestial puppets came wave after wave, causing the surrounding people to carefully observe the aura of Su Tianhao and the others. This was especially true for the Tuoba clan. It seems that they are not very strong. Tuoba Shui glanced indifferently at the battlefield, the corners of his mouth slightly curling up. It's better to be careful. I keep feeling that something is wrong. The patriarch of the Tuoba clan, the old man Tuoba Matien, said seriously, each of them has stimulated the power of their inherited bloodline. Clearly, this is the improvement of the entire Su royal family. It cannot be ignored. Aren't we the same? It's just that we haven't shown it yet. Tuoba Shui said disdainfully. He continued to look at the battlefield, watching Su Tianhao and the others fending off the attacks of the fiend celestial puppets. I dare say that if they are not hiding any overly strong combat strength, this Su Tianhao is not a threat at all. If I fight him with all my strength, I can defeat him in 3 moves. Tuoba Shui said confidently. Then, he glanced sideways at Su Yi and Su Jiu, who were sitting cross-legged on the side of the Su royal family. Both of them were rare beauties. It was already very good that he could get one of them. It's such a waste to give such a great beauty like Su Jiu to such a cowardly father. If she were given to me, I would definitely let her give birth to dozens of descendants for me. He thought to himself with some regret. Meanwhile, Su Tianhao had no idea that Tuoba Shui's evaluation of him was actually like this. He was filled with excitement at the moment. He had easily fended off the 10 attacks of the fiend celestial puppets. My next target is 30 moves. He wanted to at least be on par with Tuoba Shui and the others, and then consider the situation. Without a doubt, the intensity of 30 moves was very frightening, and it had basically approached the small limit of Tuoba Shui and his team. Chapter 5506. 15 moves. 20 moves. Su Tianhao led the team and kept unleashing more powerful defensive demonic martial techniques. On the other hand, the attacks from the celestial fiend puppets were getting stronger and stronger. It was as if a great wave of fiend energy was crashing and rolling violently. After blocking the 20th move, Su Tianhao gave the order. Take out your demonic weapons. The effect of the defensive demonic weapons was to increase their defensive ability by several times. The effect of the transcendent demonic weapons was a qualitative change to their defensive energy. Then, the 21st attack of the celestial fiend puppet was easily defended by them. 22, 23, 25 moves. 30 moves. By the time they blocked the 30th move, the faces of all the onlookers had turned serious. 30 moves. So far, only the 2 teams of the Tuoba clan could reach this level. The Su clan was indeed one of the strongest imperial clans, as they had also reached 30 moves. But in the eyes of many, Su Tianhao's team consisted of almost all the elites of the Su clan, while the other team only had a 5th-stage transcendent god. It was almost impossible for them to achieve a good result. If Su Tianhao only managed to achieve 30 moves, then compared to the Tuoba clan, he would undoubtedly be at a disadvantage. So, Su Tianhao thought so too. Let's continue. Su Tianhao gritted his teeth. He had just blocked the 30th move, and it was already difficult for him. However, he felt that he should be able to block the 35th move. If he could not, then all his efforts would be in vain. So, he had to block the 35th move. 12-winged combat cultivation law. 14-winged combat cultivation law. Including Su Tianhao, all 9 people in the field released their strongest combat power. They had already revealed most of their strength. Then, 31 moves. Block. The power of the 9 defensive demonic martial techniques condensed into a terrifying barrier, blocking the attacks of the puppets. But their defensive barrier had already shattered. Then, the auras of the 12-winged and 14-winged bloodlines swept across the battlefield. Terrifying power surrounded the 9 of them, and an even more terrifying aura burst out. These guys are really fools. No wonder they can't fully comprehend the 14-winged combat cultivation law. Is this how the power of the bloodline is used? They don't even know how to hide it. What's the use of being competitive now? Demonic God Ancestor Demonic Knight was somewhat displeased with Su Tianhao and the others. Initially, he didn't have much of an opinion. But now, it seemed like Su Tianhao and the others were too retarded. One had to know that not only did they reveal all of their strength, they also revealed the greatest trump card of the entire Su royal family. Even Su Er's expression was quite unsightly. This was only the first round. What was the point of exposing himself like this? What nonsense. However, he might have figured out Su Tianhao's mentality. This brat probably thought that he was the only one in the Su dynasty, and that he must obtain first place. That's why he put his life on the line. However, Su Er and Su Zhiyu's trump card wasn't this guy at all. It's fine, it's fine. Kang Xinmu is the inheritor of the 16 wings. Su Zhiyu patted her chest and heaved a sigh of relief. Even if Su Tianhao wanted to reveal his full strength, he couldn't. Kang Xinmu could unleash the full power of 16 wings. How could others compare to him? She believed that Kang Xinmu would not be so impulsive as to expose his full strength. And that was the truth. How could Kang Xinmu reveal all of his strength in the first round? Was there a need to fight later? Kang Xinmu had the same mentality when he participated in the competition between the Holy Lands of the Dragon Soul Holy Tower and the Dragon God clan. It was impossible for him to reveal all of his strength in the first round. Fortunately, my trump card is stronger than theirs. Kang Xinmu also heaved a sigh of relief. In the arena, Su Tianhao and the others had revealed their strength. Then, they were able to resist the increasingly powerful attacks of the celestial fiend puppets. Originally, they could barely resist the attacks. But now, they were able to do it with ease. However, when the puppets released the 35th wave of attacks, they still felt a great pressure. The terrifying demonic energy roared and swept across the arena. It enveloped all of their 16-winged celestial fiend bodies. They needed to defend against the rampaging demonic energy from different directions. Therefore, the defensive demonic martial skills they used had to be stronger. Every three of them was responsible for one direction, and they needed to resist the next wave of attacks. The 35th move of the celestial fiend puppet was exactly such a terrifying attack. Because of this, Tuoba Shui and the others gave up on attacking the 35th wave. But, in order to surpass Tuoba Shui, Su Tianhao was ready to risk it all. Moreover, the more attacks he made, the weaker the opponents he would encounter in the second round would be. He could also get more points for each of his team members. There were still benefits, but the price was a little high. Facing the 35th wave of attacks of the celestial fiend puppet, their defensive strength could not keep up with the attacks anymore. In the end, their defenses were completely destroyed by the puppets. The terrifying demonic energy struck their 16-winged celestial bodies. But fortunately, they had resisted more than half of the impact. The rest of the demonic energy did not cause too much damage to their celestial bodies. Each of them was hit by the impact and crashed into each other, producing a terrible noise. They were injured. Although it was not serious, they were still injured. This made many people around them breathe a sigh of relief, and a smile appeared on their faces. Now that they were injured, it meant that they would be at a disadvantage in the following battles. Although he had successfully withstood the 35th wave of attacks from the celestial fiend puppets, once he was injured, the extra points would become a useless burden. That meant that even a weaker opponent could defeat them. After all, in the second round, every time he defeated an opponent, he would be able to obtain 5 points. Who knew how many people would end up losing the next battle because of injuries just for this little bit of points? Was it worth it? After the 35th wave, Su Tianhao knew that he had reached his limit. But he did it. How are your injuries? Su Tianhao asked immediately, knowing that the situation was not good. Not bad. I can still exert about 90% of my strength. I can still exert about 80% of my strength. The impact was not too great, and it was still fine if they were not seriously injured. If they were lightly injured, they would still be able to defeat their opponents if they encountered a weaker opponent. Alright, let's go back. He waved his hand and brought his team back to the seats of the Imperial Su clan. He could tell that Su Er and Su Zhiyu did not look well, but he had no choice but to come back. Chapter 5507. Kang Xinmu saw that Su Tianhao had returned, but didn't say anything. Su Er, however, shouted with a bad expression, "Don't you know how much strength you have? How did you end up like this? Exposed strength, all injured. Let's see how you fight next." Su Tianhao didn't refute Su Er's question. But he secretly clenched his fists. He didn't think he was wrong. He definitely couldn't let the Tuoba clan be so arrogant and domineering. As for their injuries, I can heal them very quickly. Kang Xinmu suddenly spoke. "Oh? What do you have?" Su Er was a little surprised. In her opinion, Kang Xinmu shouldn't care about this. But this was a serious matter. Whether it was Su Jiyu or Su Yi, regarding the bet between the two girls, Kang Xinmu couldn't let anything change. So in this ranking competition, Kang Xinmu would definitely give it his all. "I have a power that can heal their injuries. But, not now," Kang Xinmu said solemnly. "Before they go on stage in the next round, I will heal all of their injuries and ensure that they fully recover their fighting strength." This was to catch the opponent off guard. Originally, the opponent thought that many of the Su royal clan's people were already injured, so they looked down on them. And Kang Xinmu's sudden healing of them was completely out of the opponent's expectations. It was very likely to turn a losing situation into a victory. This was called catching the opponent off guard. Su Er heard Kang Xinmu's words and revealed a satisfied expression. Worthy of being the man her daughter fell for. This meticulous thinking was on point. But such thinking required one to have enough strength to be able to completely heal them in a short period of time before going on stage. The difficulty of this was extremely high. Even Su Jiyu wasn't sure. But Kang Xinmu seemed to be relaxed, without any pressure at all. Su Tianhao's face darkened when he saw this scene. He did not expect that Tuoba Shui, whom he had painstakingly led and even managed to suppress the Tuoba royal family despite being injured, would actually end up benefiting Kang Xinmu. This Kang Xinmu was actually praised by Su Er. This was too unfair. Su Tianhao was a little unhappy, but he didn't show it. After all, right now was the time when the Su royal family was united against a common enemy. If Kang Xinmu could really heal him and the other people of the Su dynasty, then he would still be very grateful to Kang Xinmu. However, he had some doubts. Did Kang Xinmu really have such an ability? It wouldn't be fun if he made a fool of himself. Kang Xinmu naturally had the strength to do so. His devouring power could heal anyone. Apart from the dragon martial artists, it was the same for the demon god race's legacy cultivators. Then, it was Kang Xinmu's turn to block the attacks of the demon god puppets. In this round, Jiang Shenwu, Su Yi, and Su Yi, the three youths at the second level of the Transcendental God realm, were placed in the same team. The entire team only had one young expert at the fifth level of the Transcendental God realm from the Su royal family. This made almost everyone in the audience look down on this team. Those with a discerning eye could see that the Su royal family had clearly placed all their bets on Su Tianhao. Otherwise, how could Su Tianhao lead the team to the 35th wave of attacks? Moreover, the 9 people in Kang Xinmu's team did not seem to be very strong. They did not care about the 4th level Transcendent God at all. Therefore, only the 5th level Transcendent God might be able to cause some waves. With everyone looking down on them, Kang Xinmu's team of 9 stepped into the arena. Then, they each transformed into their true bodies of the demon god race. 6-winged heavenly demon god body, come out. Kang Xinmu also transformed into a 6-winged heavenly demon god body and hid among the 9 people. He did not seem to be out of the ordinary. Just like Su Yi and Su Yi, he looked like an ordinary second-level transcendent god. This Su Yi must taste pretty good. In the spectator area, the young Tuoba clan's seat was licking his lips. In his opinion, this woman had already been decided by him. He would definitely win first place in this ranking competition. He would definitely get this woman. And he would definitely bring Su Jiyu back to the Tuoba royal family. As for Kang Shinmu, who was next to Su Yi, Tuoba Shui did not even look at him. In his opinion, a mere second-level transcendent god kid was not worth his attention. He even felt that such a fellow should not even be qualified to participate in the ranking competition. The difference was too great. Begin. The demon god puppets did not wait for long. They immediately launched a terrifying attack at the 9 people. Kang Shinmu could already feel the astonishing power of the first wave of attacks. It was indeed an attack that required 9 people to work together to block. However, judging from the first wave, even if Kang Shinmu was alone, he could still block it easily. This wave of attacks was not strong. It was mainly to let the participants familiarize themselves with the demon god puppet's attacking style. Form the 16-winged defense formation. Just like Su Tianhao's team, the group was led by the 5th-level transcendent god youth. Their demon god puppet's wings emitted a terrifying aura at this moment. A 6-winged heavenly demon god devil chi barrier appeared in front of them. The power of the 9 people joined together. It was impossible to tell who was stronger and who was weaker. But everyone thought that the 5th-level transcendent god youth should be the strongest in this team. There was no doubt about it. Second wave. Easy. Third wave. Easy. As they easily passed through the 10th wave of attacks, people began to feel that something was wrong. This was too easy. It seemed that the members of this team had not taken out their demon weapons, which meant that they had not exerted their full power yet. How could they block the 10th wave of attacks so easily? It was a little unbelievable. It seemed that although this group of people did not look very good, their average strength was not bad. Many people were thinking. Not only the spectators, even the youths of the Su dynasty who were present felt a bit strange. They could feel that the defense of their 16-winged heavenly demon god defense formation was much stronger than they had expected. But they really did not know whose power it was that caused it. Only Kang Shinmu knew that it was because he was too strong. His defensive ability was outstanding. After all, he and Su Jiu had cultivated 6 Supreme Saint-level Transcendent God Super Demon God martial skills. 2 of them were defensive Supreme Divine Demon God martial skills, and he had fully used them and integrated them into the defense formation. His power alone was almost equal to the combined power of the other 8 people. What kind of terrifying strength was this? Chapter 5508. No one had expected that the strongest defensive power among the 9 was Kang Shinmu. Perhaps only Su Yi and Su Yi knew. Then there were Su Er and Su Jiu. Under the constant attacks of the peak-level super demon god puppets, the defensive barrier of Kang Shinmu and the others was not shaken at all. So strong. It's even more stable than Su Tianhao and the others? Yes, Su Tianhao and the others were almost unable to withstand the 10th wave of attacks. Let's see how long it will take for them to take out their demon weapons. This is too exaggerated. They withstood 10 waves of attacks. Many people were whispering to each other. They were all discussing and guessing if the young man at the 5th level of the Transcendent God realm was the secret trump card of the Su royal family. Unfortunately, no one knew the truth. I've only used less than half of my power. Kang Shinmu was in the crowd, infusing his defensive power into the combined defensive barrier. Xiao Chen executed both of his transcendent divine defensive demonic martial techniques. But in the crowd, no one could tell which power belonged to whom. They could only guess blindly. And if they guessed blindly, the possibility of guessing that it was Kang Shinmu was very low. No one thought that this second-level transcendent god kid would have such powerful power. Basically, all eyes were on the 5th-level transcendent god youth. And this youth was called Su Gui. Su Gui himself was very depressed. Why did he not know that he was so powerful? Su Tianhao told him that they only needed to withstand 25 waves of attacks in the second round. They did not need to create any miracles. But who could tell him what was going on now? 10 waves without any pressure. This was too dreamy. Let's continue watching. Su Gui continued to strengthen his power. The current situation made him feel a little smug. They had not even used their full power. Under normal circumstances, they should have done so long ago. Otherwise, they would not have been able to withstand the 10th wave. But now, very quickly, the attacks of the demon puppets continued. The 15th wave. The 20th wave. The terrifying power was like a tidal wave, surging forward violently. But their defensive barrier was as tall as a mountain, and it was not shaken at all. At this time, Kang Shinmu's power had reached its limit. 20 waves. He did not unleash his demon weapon. This situation caused many people to stand up involuntarily. Something wasn't right. The defensive strength of these 9 people had exceeded everyone's expectations. When the 21st wave of attacks came, they finally released the power of their MO weapons. Almost everyone's transcendent god demon weapon was top grade. At this moment, the vast amount of energy released from the demonic weapons strengthened everyone's transcendent god demonic martial techniques. Their combined defensive barrier was instantly strengthened dozens of times. 25th wave. 30 waves. Up until the 30th wave, he had yet to encounter any setbacks. He didn't look like he was going to collapse at all. Continue. No matter how Su Gui thought about it, he couldn't think of a reason to give up. No matter how they were able to do it so smoothly, in short, they definitely had the reason and strength to charge for the 35th wave, or even higher. The 31st wave of attacks began, and it was an omnidirectional attack. Their defensive barrier spread out in all directions, blocking all angles. Kang Shinmu's formless weapon, Chen Xing, had already released half of its power. Half of its power was enough for now. All his defensive martial techniques were enhanced by Chen Xing's defensive battle patterns, and the effect of Chen Xing's battle patterns was many times stronger than the other MO weapons. Until the 35th wave of attacks came. Easy. No one had expected that they could easily resist the 35th wave of attacks. This scene truly shocked everyone. Originally, they didn't pay much attention to their relaxed performance. After all, it could be that someone among the 9 had used his full strength in advance. Naturally, it would be easier to defend. But now it seemed, not at all. They were just going according to the normal procedure. When the 35th wave of attacks descended so violently, he was actually able to block it so easily. This meant that the strength of these 9 people, they were really stronger than Su Tianhao's team. What's going on? Su Tianhao's face was as red as a mouse. He remembered that he had warned Su Gui that 25 waves would be enough for Su Gui. But now it seemed, he had underestimated Su Gui. Su Gui, this kid, he has been hiding his strength? Not bad. Su Tianhao's emotions surged. This meant that the Su clan still had other trump cards. Su Gui had always been low-key. He didn't expect that he had such strength. Su Tianhao was excited because he felt that he couldn't shoulder the heavy burden of the Su royal family. Now that Su Gui was here to share the pressure, he naturally relaxed a lot. But at the same time, Su Tianhao was unhappy that he was being played. After all, Su Gui hid his strength in front of him and pretended to listen to him. How ironic was that? Pity. He didn't know that Su Gui was also confused. Among Su Gui's group of 9, no one knew who was the strongest. Everyone thought it was Su Gui. And Su Gui thought it was either Su Yi or Su Yi, or both of them were very strong. After all, the 2 of them had completely comprehended the 14 Wings battle cultivation law. But Su Yi and Su Yi were very clear that this super strong defensive power mainly came from Kang Shinmu. Kang Shinmu alone took up at least 50% of the power in the entire defensive barrier. The others added up were only about the same as Kang Shinmu. Su Yi and Su Yi weren't very strong either. After all, they were only at the 2nd level of the Transcendent God realm, and they hadn't released the power of the 14 Wings cultivation law. Let's continue to the 40th wave. Does anyone have any objections? Su Gui gritted his teeth and asked the crowd. If they could reach the 40th wave, it meant that all of them would draw the weakest opponent in the next round. This was beneficial to them. However, could they withstand 40 waves of attacks? Go. Many people were a little arrogant. They saw that the 35th wave was easily defended and were full of confidence. Kang Shinmu saw this and couldn't help but smile bitterly. This meant that he had to continue to release more power. Half of the formless weapon's Qin star power was not enough. He released 80% of the Qin star defense and added it to his 2 super godlike defensive demonic martial skills. Then, they quietly merged into the surrounding defensive barrier. The defensive barrier of the 9 of them was greatly enhanced. Chapter 5509. With the power of Kang Shinmu's super defensive demon martial skill, the whole team's defensive barrier was almost indestructible. Wave after wave of attacks came. But it was impossible to break their defensive barrier, and it was impossible for them to be injured like Su Tianhao. How is this possible? This is more than 35 waves of attacks. How can they resist it so easily? Who on earth is so strong? Everyone's eyes swept across the 9 people in the field, but no one's eyes fell on Kang Shinmu. Kang Shinmu looked like he was only at Super God Stage 2. How could he be so strong that he could change the whole team? Su Gui had a look of pleasant surprise on his face. He didn't expect his team to be so strong. This meant he was going to be famous. Although he knew it wasn't because of himself, which young man didn't want to be famous? No matter what, this team was led by him. In the seats, Su Jiyu and Su Er looked at each other and smiled, as if they had expected it. Only they knew that the decisive person in the field was Kang Shinmu. They didn't expect Kang Shinmu to be so strong that he could single-handedly control the whole situation in such a team defense battle. Su Er was a little surprised. Su Jiyu, on the other hand, had expected it. Everyone was shocked by the situation in the field. No one expected this team, which seemed hopeless, to be able to make it this far. The 39th wave. The 40th wave. The monstrous devil chi of the fiend celestial puppets pressed down on the field like rolling black clouds. The monstrous devil chi seemed to be real, and it contained an unparalleled pressure. It rolled over, bringing with it endless destructive power. The most terrifying power had finally arrived. At this moment, the defensive barrier that Kang Shinmu and the others had created finally cracked. However, it was merely a crack. The endless demonic aura was still blocked outside the defensive barrier. If the attack was a little stronger, I'm afraid I would have to use more power. Fortunately, it's blocked. Kang Shinmu heaved a sigh of relief. In the field, the boundless demonic aura gradually dispersed. What appeared in front of everyone was the unharmed Su Dynasty's 9-man team. The others were delighted. Including Su Yi and Su Yi, they were very clear about Kang Shinmu's strength, but they didn't expect Kang Shinmu to be able to do this. You've picked up a treasure. Su Yi chuckled and whispered, I really envy you. If you guys weren't already together, I would have pursued him. Su Yi's adorable face was bright red. He is very powerful. But he seems to have a woman in the Dragon God clan. This made Su Yi quite depressed. But after all, Kang Shinmu was a member of the Dragon God clan. Even if he had some relationship with the Dragon God clan, she really couldn't control him. Alright, don't think too much. You are the princess of our Su dynasty. Who can compare to you in status? Su Yi held her little hand and comforted her. No matter what, father has already admitted that you two are together, which means that you and him are fair and square. No one can compare to you. Su Yi pursed her lips and nodded. She wasn't really depressed. She was just a little worried that Kang Shinmu would be snatched away. During this period, she really missed Kang Shinmu too much. Every time she thought of Kang Shinmu, she couldn't help but wonder what he was doing, and whether there were other women by his side, but she was a straightforward person, so she didn't dwell too much on this matter. At least now, she was together with Kang Shinmu. And she was fighting side by side with Kang Shinmu. And she had achieved a result that made the Su dynasty proud, and shocked all the 24 royal clans of the Demon God clan. They had withstood 40 waves of attacks from the Demon God puppets. This kind of achievement might not be unprecedented, but it was at least very rare. Even the super genius of the Tuoba clan, Tuoba Shui, had only led a team through 30 waves, and didn't even attempt 35 waves. From this, it could be seen that it was not that easy to go from 30 to 40 waves. Su Tianhao's team was even injured because he forced his way through 35 waves. If it weren't for Kang Shinmu, it would have been a disaster. But now, Kang Shinmu and his team had withstood 40 waves of attacks from the Demon God puppets. How amazing was this? The most frightening thing was that even the clan leaders of the other royal clans couldn't tell who was the strongest among the 9. Or was it that the average strength of the 9 of them was stronger? Was there something special about each of them? Such a situation was not impossible. But there were 3 second-stage supreme gods in this team, and their level was too low. To be able to bring these 3 people along, it meant that the average strength of the others was beyond everyone's imagination. After the shock brought by Kang Shinmu's team had passed, the ranking competition quickly continued. The other royal clans didn't have anything outstanding. But when it was the Li Tian clan's turn, everyone's attention was once again drawn to them. The Li Tian clan had the powerful inheritance of the rock-shattering mountain-shaking demon god. In their bodies flowed the bloodline of the rock-shattering mountain-shaking demon god, and they had the strongest body in the entire demon god clan. Li Tianxiong was the Li Tian clan's super genius of this generation. He was even as famous as Tuoba Shui. And the Li Tian clan only had one style. Charge, charge, charge. They didn't know what it meant to hide their strength, and what it meant to distribute evenly. In the first round of the ranking competition, they would always gather their strongest together, and then strive for a higher result to get first place. This time, Li Tianxiong led 4 fifth-stage supreme gods and 4 fourth-stage supreme gods. These were the 9 strongest young experts of the Li Tian clan. Break through 40 levels. Li Tianxiong roared, and transformed into the body of the rock-shattering mountain-shaking demon god. It was a huge rock demon god, its entire body made of terrifyingly hard rock, and its bloodline was as hot as lava. Their power could be combined to form a wall of molten flames. To be honest, the rock-shattering mountain-shaking demon god's inheritance was not very good at defense, especially when it came to team defense. Their strength was in their bodies. But it was difficult for their bodies to be combined. The wall of lava they formed was their most suitable group defense, but compared to the other demon god clan inheritances, it was still a little crude. This was because the wall of lava could only accumulate half of each person's strength. It was too weak compared to the other inheritances. But, even if they could only accumulate half of each person's strength, it was terrifying enough. Chapter 55:10. Each of the inheritors of the Litian clan's rock-shattering mountain-shaking fiend god stood towering in the middle of the field like a mountain. Wave after wave of attacks from the celestial fiend puppets smashed onto them like raging waves. 10 waves. 20 waves. The Li Tian clan was very successful in blocking these attacks. It was even more successful than when Jiang Shenwu was present, when the 9 people of the Su imperial clan united. The reason was that the Litian clan had gathered the 9 strongest experts together. Each of them possessed a terrifying overall strength, and could even be compared with Su Gui and Su Tianhao. In Kang Shinmu's opinion, the strongest among them, Li Tianxiong, could even be compared with him. Unfortunately, the rock-shattering mountain-shaking fiend god's legacy mainly focused on cultivating the fleshly body. Therefore, this method of fighting together was relatively weak. But it did not affect the overall situation. Even if the cultivators of the Litian clan's fiend god clan did not perform well in the first round of the ranking competition, they could always make up for it in the second round. Their opponents were usually the strongest in the first round. But their actual combat strength was not shown in the first round. Only in the second round of one-on-one battles did they show their true strength. They were basically invincible among the same level. The legacy of the Litian clan, the rock-shattering mountain-shaking fiend god, did possess such terrifying power. At the same time, led by Litian Xiong, the 8 strongest young experts of the Litian clan, they were trying their best to withstand the 40th wave of attacks from the celestial fiend puppets. Even if they could not take the first place, they could not let anyone else take it. At least, they had to tie for first place. Their overall strength was much stronger than Kang Xinmu, Su Gue, and the others. But their weakness was the legacy itself. Therefore, it was still somewhat difficult for them to withstand the 40th wave of attacks. Facing the increasingly powerful attacks of the celestial fiend puppets, Litian Xiong let out a furious roar and unleashed all his strength, making the wall of molten flames even stronger. Endless molten flames burned, and the temperature in the field soared. Everyone's eyes were focused on Litian Xiong, and their faces flickered slightly when they saw the terrifying power he unleashed. He was too strong. This Litian Xiong did not look any weaker than Tuoba Xian from the Tuoba clan. The second round was getting harder. 35 waves. 40 waves. In the end, Li Tianxiong led the younger generation of the Li Tian royal clan and successfully defended against the 40th wave of attacks. However, all 9 of them had been bombarded by the 40th wave of violent energy. Their combined molten wall was unable to withstand the 40th wave of attacks. However, they were fearless. Their physical bodies were incomparably strong, much stronger than Su Tianhao and the others. Even if they were hit head-on by the 40th wave of attacks, they would only suffer some minor injuries. Furthermore, the rock-shattering mountain-shaking demon god's heritage of the Li Tian clan allowed him to recover his strength very quickly. By the time the second round started, they would have recovered completely. Li Tian clan is a great enemy. Every single one of them is very strong, unlike the Tuoba clan. Tuoba Shi is the only one I care about, Kang Xinmu thought. Then, it was time for the second group of young inheritors from the Li Tian clan. This time, the 9 from the Li Tian clan were far weaker than the previous wave. The strongest among them was only at Transcendent God level 4. In addition, their combined defense was not strong to begin with. This time, the 9 of them only managed to defend against 20 waves of attacks before retreating. This was the usual style of the Li Tian clan. If they felt that they could not withstand the attacks, then there was no need to forcefully defend. They would conserve their strength and make up for it with a good result in the second round. The Li Tian clan strategy was not bad. Over the years, the Li Tian clan had been able to achieve good results. They were always in the top 3 and often even won first place. 40 waves, 20 waves. The difference between the 2 groups of people from the Li Tian clan is really huge. Suyi exclaimed. She was not too worried. She and Kang Xinmu were in the same group and obtained the best results. Their opponent in the second round would definitely not be from the Li Tian clan. Instead, it might be the Bing royal clan. Suyi had been paying attention to the genius of the Bing royal clan, Ice Moon Silk. He was rather wary of her. Ice Moon Silk's talent was very high. News of her had spread throughout the demon god great world. She was even more famous than Su Yi and Su Yi. She was even more famous than Su Jiyu. Her beauty was one aspect, but her strength was another. Yet, the Bing royal clan that she was in had weak overall strength. They were defeated so quickly in the first round. Then, the Bing royal clan that she was in would very likely face Kang Xinmu's group in the first round. Unfortunately, not many people in the Su royal clan paid attention to Ice Moon Silk. No matter what, Kang Xinmu felt that he was the only one in the entire Su royal clan who could defeat Ice Moon Silk. The others, whether it was Su Yi or Su Yi, were slightly inferior. After all, the 2 women were only at the second level of the Transcendent God realm. As for Su Tianhao, Su Gue, and the other 5th level Transcendent God realm youths, they were not at a disadvantage in terms of realm. Unfortunately, their combat skills were not strong enough. They had not even completely comprehended the 14 wings combat cultivation rule. This meant that the youths of the Su royal clan could only use 70% of their 16-winged heavenly demon god inheritance's power. Not even 70%. But Ice Moon Silk could use 100% of the 0-degree demonic god inheritance's power. This was a huge, insurmountable gap. Soon, the first round of the ranking competition was over. The huge body of the fiend celestial puppet was taken away. The center of the arena quietened down, as if nothing had happened. The next most important segment, the drawing of lots for the second round, had arrived. Kang Shinmu's goal was to get first place among everyone. Therefore, he had to pass the second round and enter the top 16. And to pass the second round, he had to defeat his opponent in 3 consecutive elimination rounds to get a chance to win. Moreover, he might have to accept the challenge of some losers. Some of the stronger youths might encounter stronger opponents and be defeated regrettably in the elimination rounds. Therefore, as long as half of the 24 demon god royal clan's patriarchs thought that the youths were strong enough, they would be granted an additional right to challenge. In the top 16, they could choose their opponent. If they could defeat their opponent, they would replace their opponent and enter the top 16. And if they failed, all the points they had earned would be reduced to 0. The right to challenge could be exercised or abandoned. But once it was exercised, there was no turning back. Either they won, or their points would be reduced to 0, dragging down the total points of the royal clan they belonged to. All in all, the rules were fair. In the end, the only way to obtain results was to rely on their fists. Chapter 55:11. It was time to draw lots. On the Su royal family's side, Su Jiyu was drawing lots. When the lots were being drawn, the elder, Tuoba Matian, was still sizing up Su Jiyu. Although he didn't say anything, everyone knew what his eyes meant. Su Jiyu was expressionless, and left after drawing lots. In any case, she had absolute confidence in Kang Shinmu in this ranking competition. Kang Shinmu had to get first place. Otherwise, she wouldn't have made such a bet with him, and even put herself and Su Yi on the line. She gave Kang Shinmu an opportunity. An opportunity for Kang Shinmu to obtain a heaven and earth saint quality. Since they made a bet, why not make 2 bets, and let Kang Shinmu obtain 2 heaven and earth saint quality? To the Su royal family, there wasn't much benefit. After all, 1 heaven and earth saint quality was given to Kang Shinmu, and 1 to Su Yi. However, this was equivalent to increasing the overall strength of the Su royal family. Su Jiyu returned. She opened the jade slip in her hand, and glanced at it. Everyone from the Su royal family's first match of the second round is in this jade slip. Kang Shinmu against the Jin royal family, Jin Luyue. Su Tianhao against the Bing royal family, Ice Moon Silk. As the battle list was announced, everyone's expression changed. Kang Shinmu, Su Yi, and Su Yi, due to their excellent performance in the first round, persisting for 40 waves, were fighting against weaker opponents. Of course, there were some who weren't so lucky, such as Su Tianhao. He faced the Ice Moon Silk. The Ice Moon Silk strength was definitely among the top of all the participating experts. It was at least top 10, or even top 5. And Su Tianhao, he thought he was the trump card of the Su royal family. But in reality, his battle strength might not necessarily be stronger than the Ice Moon Silk. The reason why the Ice Moon Silk faced Su Tianhao was because there were too few people in the younger generation of the Bing royal family. There were only a few people, and they couldn't even gather 9 people. Therefore, it was very difficult for Frozen Moon Silk to get a good result in the first round. But in terms of individual strength, she was very, very strong. Kang Shinmu had given her such an evaluation before, but Su Tianhao did not believe it. There were even people who ridiculed Kang Shinmu, asking if he had taken a fancy to the Ice Moon Silk. Naturally, Kang Shinmu couldn't be bothered with this. Next, Su Tianhao would have to fight against the Ice Moon Damask. Once the results of the battle were out, the situation would become clearer. Kang Shinmu said that the Ice Moon Silk was very strong. Whether it was true or not, Su Tianhao could experience it himself. I will fight against Ice Moon Silk. This Ice Moon Silk is a pretty good opponent. Su Tianhao stood up, obviously very confident. He was the strongest in the younger generation of the Su royal family. Could it be that he couldn't defeat the Ice Moon Damask? In Su Tianhao's eyes, Ice Moon Silk was a genius of the younger generation of the declining demon god race's royal family. How could she be compared to the #1 genius of a powerful royal family like him? Even if the Ice Moon Silk was strong, he, Su Tianhao, was definitely stronger. Su royal family, I will fight first. Kang Shinmu squinted his eyes. According to the results of the first round, from highest to lowest, Kang Shinmu was ranked first. Of course, Li Tianxiong and the others from the Li Tian clan were ranked before Kang Shinmu. It wasn't that the 9 people from the Li Tian clan were ranked before Kang Shinmu, but because they fought after the first round, they were naturally ranked first in the second round. Of course, this was under the situation where the results of the first round were the same. Otherwise, the better the results of the first round, the earlier they would fight. Li Tianxiong and the others were all the strongest in the Li Tian clan. In the second round, their opponents weren't particularly strong. Almost all of them were crushed. Li Tianxiong and the others won the first round. Next, it was Kang Shinmu's turn. Su Gui was the first to fight, defeating a demon god race youth from the declining royal family. Next was Su Yi. The 2 girls' opponents weren't strong either, only at the first level of super demon god. They didn't last long against the 2 girls before being defeated. To be honest, those who could reach the transcendent god level before the age of 30 were no weaklings. But in a battle between the demon god race's royal family, the first level of super demon god was not very good. Soon, it was Kang Shinmu's turn. Kang Shinmu's opponent was Jin Luiyue of the Jin royal family. She was a young girl in her early 20s, and the Jin royal family was a mid-tier demon god race royal family. The reason she didn't get a good result was because Jin Luiyue was said to be injured and was still in a serious state, so she couldn't use her full strength. Your name is Kang Shinmu, not Su. Jin Luiyue's expression eased slightly when she saw Kang Shinmu, who was only at the second level of super demon god. In her opinion, this Kang Shinmu was too easy to deal with. Even though she was severely injured, she was still a super demon god level 4. Let's begin. Kang Shinmu didn't waste time with her and directly transformed into the body of a 16-headed heavenly demon god. Jin Luiyue frowned slightly. She felt Kang Shinmu's strong fighting spirit and felt a strong suppression. This surprised her. A second-level transcendent god can make me feel suppressed? Jin Luiyue found it unbelievable. She immediately activated the demon god race's bloodline, and a terrifying demonic aura exploded from her body. Her entire body turned into a golden demon god. Golden full moon demon god. The Jin royal family's demon god race's bloodline was still very strong. She had just transformed into a demon god when waves of terrifying golden blades spread out. Every golden blade contained terrifying lethality. If an ordinary second-level super demon god encountered this, they would definitely be in big trouble. What a pity. In Kang Shinmu's eyes, these golden blades didn't have the slightest bit of pressure. He could even use his 16-winged heavenly demon god body to block them. But he didn't underestimate his opponent. Who knew if there was some hidden power in Jin Luiyue's golden blades? Demonic Wings Tornado. A terrifying supreme divine demon martial skill was released from Kang Shinmu's back. The 16 heavenly demon wings on his back completely unfolded, and a violent demonic aura tornado was released through the formless weapon. Qinxing Kang Shinmu only used half the power of the offensive battle pattern. But the supreme divine demon martial skill, Demonic Wings Tornado, seemed to want to destroy heaven and earth. It enveloped all of his opponent's golden blades and engulfed them one by one. Then, the demonic wings tornado whistled and landed directly in front of Jin Liuyue's golden full moon demon god body. Defend. The golden full moon demon god body suddenly released a golden light, like a golden wall, blocking the demonic wings tornado. Unfortunately, she was injured after all. Even though Kang Shinmu only used half the power of the offensive battle pattern, Jin Liyue couldn't block it at all. Her entire body was pushed back by the demonic wings tornado, and wounds quickly appeared on the surface of the giant golden full moon demon god body. I admit defeat. Chapter 55-12. Jin Liyue admitted defeat. She was not the only one who did not expect it. The others also did not expect that she would lose to a level 2 transcendent god from the Su royal family. As expected of Emperor Shi's personal disciple, he adapted to the demon god race's fighting style so quickly. He is very strong, but he is only strong among those of the same level. He still can't win against those who are truly strong. That's right. Jin Liyue was only injured earlier. Otherwise, she would not have lost to this person. Everyone whispered to each other and discussed spiritedly. They pointed at Kang Shinmu. No one could see how strong Kang Shinmu's technique was. In reality, Kang Shinmu did not use any strong techniques. In order to make others underestimate him, so that he could take them by surprise and obtain an easier victory, he hid himself. Not only did he only use half of the formless weapon Shin Xing's battle patterns, but he also only used the heaven-level demon wing tornado. This super divine demon skill was one of the 6 super divine demon skills that he had learned from Su Jiu. He had already comprehended it to the extreme sage level. Thus, the demon wing tornado he used now did not even use 1/10 of his full strength. After all, Jin Liyue is injured. Her true strength is only level 2 transcendent god. Kang Shinmu did not need to use his true strength at all. He did not even use his devouring power and easily won the battle. He returned to his seat. Not bad. Su Tianhao faintly nodded and said. He felt that Kang Shinmu did not embarrass the Su royal family. As the strongest of the Su royal family's younger generation, he should be praised to show his magnanimity. Of course, he was not really praising Kang Shinmu. He only thought that he represented everyone's opinion. Kang Shinmu ignored him. He returned to Su Yi and Su Yi's side. Then, the other matches continued. Not long after, it was finally Su Tianhao's turn to fight against the 0-degree demon god inheritor of the Bing royal family, Ice Moon Silk. Kang Shinmu's expression became serious. Both of them were supreme demon god level 5 existences. Although he predicted that Su Tianhao would lose, he also hoped that Su Tianhao could perform at his best. It would be best if Su Tianhao could squeeze out all the strength of the Ice Moon Silk and display it. In that case, it would be much easier to deal with the Ice Moon Silk in the future. Frozen Moon Silk, I did not expect that my opponent would be you. However, I will not show any mercy. Su Tianhao entered the arena. He turned into a 16-winged heavenly demon god and said lightly. He had trained with the Ice Moon Silk before, so they could be considered to be acquainted. I won't hold back either. Ice Moon Silk's pretty face was cold as she spoke, unwilling to show weakness. This made Su Tianhao a little unhappy. Previously, when they were training together, he felt that the Ice Moon Silk wasn't as strong as him. Now, it was the same. Yet, the Ice Moon Silk actually said the same thing to him. This girl was too arrogant. 0-degree demon god, unleash. The Ice Moon ribbon transformed into a slender demon god whose entire body was covered in ice. She looked slender and gave off an extremely cold feeling. Let's start. Su Tianhao sneered and released all his strength. He did not hold back. He immediately unleashed his most powerful technique. Moreover, a supreme divine demon weapon long saber appeared in his hand. He waved it and slashed out several pitch-black saber gleams. Heavenly demon drawing saber slash. The pitch-black saber gleams exploded and almost shattered the void. They instantly swept towards the front of the Ice Moon Silk 0-degree demon god. These pitch-black saber gleams contained the unparalleled inheritance power of a 16-winged heavenly demon god. Every saber gleam contained surging demonic aura as though it could split the heavens. Facing the terrifying pitch-black saber gleams, the Ice Moon Silk 0-degree demon god remained calm. She merely waved her hand, and terrifying icy demonic aura surged out of her body. Extreme Frost Kingdom. Waves of turbulent icy demonic aura surged out from her demonic body. The terrifying icy demonic aura surrounded her demonic body and formed an extremely low-temperature domain. In this domain, everything, including time, seemed to have slowed down. As for the saber gleams, they seemed to have fallen into a quagmire and were trapped in this extreme frost kingdom. Although they caused many cracks in the air, they were ultimately unable to harm the Ice Moon Silk. Frost Kingdom, explode. The Ice Moon Silk 0-degree demon god was completely surrounded by an icy barrier. Immediately afterward, the Frost Kingdom that she had just created exploded. Endless ice scattered in all directions. The temperature of the entire gladiator arena dropped to its lowest point. Ice shards flew everywhere. It was as though the heavens had turned into ice cubes and shattered. Even Su Tianhao's 16-winged heavenly demon god body started to freeze. Demonic Wings Battle Rampage. The 16 wings on Su Tianhao's back erupted with tyrannical power. He used his strongest supreme divine demon skill, Sky Demon Wings Crisscrossing Battle. He had already cultivated this supreme divine demon skill to the highest level, the supreme divine demon realm. He had a deep understanding of this demonic skill. The only pity was that he could not use the full power of the 16-winged heavenly demon god race inheritance. He could only use the power of the 12-winged heavenly demon god race inheritance. He had not even fully mastered the power of the 14-winged heavenly demon god race inheritance. But even if he had only mastered a portion of the 14-winged heavenly demon god race inheritance, his combat strength was still worlds apart from when he had been a month ago. Break for me. Demonic aura constantly erupted from his heavenly demon god race wings, forming howling vortexes that crushed the surrounding ice shards into powder. The Wing Battle Rampage's demonic chi vortex exploded in an instant, spreading waves of demonic aura to the surroundings. The Ice Moon Silk's extreme frost kingdom was quickly shattered by the waves of demonic aura. Countless ice shards danced in the air before shattering into shards. 0-degree demon god heavenly thrust. The Ice Moon Silk's heavenly demon god body rapidly erupted with even greater power. Her expression was grave. It was obvious that Su Tianhao's strength had exceeded her expectations. But Su Tianhao was still no match for her. Because in this period of time, she had also improved greatly. She had completely mastered the full power of the 0-degree demon god. She could unleash 100% of the power of the inheritance. This was the first time in tens of thousands of years that the 0-degree demon god's inheritance had appeared in the Bing royal family. This meant that she would definitely become the leader of the Bing royal family and lead the entire Bing royal family to the peak. This kind of improvement was much stronger than Su Tianhao's. Su Tianhao had not even completely mastered the 14 wings cultivation law, let alone the strongest 16 wings cultivation law. He was not even qualified to touch this level. 0-degree demon god heavenly thrust. As the Ice Moon Damask released this inherited transcendent divine demonic martial technique, boundless icy demonic chi condensed in the sky, forming many horrifying icicles. Chapter 55:13. 0-degree demon god heavenly thorn. This supreme divine demon martial technique's horrifying power instantly engulfed Su Tianhao's demon god body. The 0-degree ice heavenly thorn almost froze everything. Su Tianhao's entire devil god body shuddered. This Ice Moon Damask was too strong, far stronger than he had expected. How could this woman have such terrifying strength? I was careless. Su Tianhao's body was already invaded by the cold air. The endless 0-degree demon god's power corroded his body, causing his demon body to become even more fragile. The cold air instantly attacked, accompanied by the endless demonic energy Heaven Thorn, suppressing him to the ground. Boom! The horrifying power pressed down, freezing everything around him into ice. At this moment, everyone's expression changed. This move was simply too powerful. It actually suppressed Su Tianhao and froze his 16-winged demon god body into an ice sculpture. At this point, Su Tianhao had no ability to resist. He lost. I lost. Su Tianhao's body was bone-chilling cold. Even though he was frozen into an ice sculpture, he still had consciousness. He could not move, but he knew he lost. Kang Xinmu was right. This woman is very strong. Su Tianhao clenched his teeth, feeling powerless all over his body. His opponent was much stronger than him. Unless he could completely comprehend the 14-winged battle cultivation law, it was impossible to defeat this woman. Moreover, even if he really mastered the 14-winged battle cultivation law, he could not fully display the inherited power of a 16-winged demon god. At most, he could fight to a draw with the Ice Moon Silk. My strength is still too weak. I can't even defeat a descendant of a declining royal family. Isn't this a disgrace to the Su royal family? I lost in the first match of the second round. Although I will definitely have the right to challenge, I am not willing. Su Tianhao clenched his teeth. This defeat was a wake-up call for him. No matter who he faced, he could not be careless. This was a lesson that made him lose a lot of face. But now, he definitely would not lose. The battle ended. Su Tianhao returned to the Su royal family's seating area. Patriarch, I've lost. But I feel that I have some understanding of the 14-winged combat cultivation law. I can break through now. In the next battle, no matter who I face, I will not lose. Su Tianhao said seriously. Next time? I'm afraid there won't be a next time. Su Er calmly said, the right to challenge requires more than half of the 24 imperial families present to vote for it. It's a pity that you didn't receive more than half of the votes. He gave it to Su Tianhao. But in the end, only 10 royal families agreed. Obviously, the other royal families did not approve of Su Tianhao's strength. Or, they were dissatisfied with the Su royal family and didn't want Su Tianhao to have another chance. What? Su Tianhao felt like he was struck by lightning. There was no next time. How was this possible? How could not half of them approve of his additional challenge? Could it be that his strength was so weak that he could not enter the eyes of the other royal families? Because of the bet. This bet is not just between us and the Tuoba clan, Su Jiyu said faintly from the side. There are also many royal families that are hostile to us. They want to see us become a joke and want us to lose to the Tuoba family. Of course, even the royal families that are on good terms with us didn't vote for you because it's beneficial for them if our strength is weakened. At the very least, they can't just watch as we obtain 2 saint items of heaven and earth and let our strength increase for nothing. Su Tianhao naturally understood what Su Jiyu meant. So it was because of the bet. He heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that his strength was really so weak that he couldn't even get the right to challenge. Since that was the case, he relaxed a little. But very quickly, he became nervous. That's not right. If he couldn't fight, wouldn't the Su royal family lose for sure? How could they get first place? He knew the strength of everyone in the younger generation of the Su royal family. Other than Kang Xinmu, of the 18 people participating in the battle, no one else was his match. As for Kang Xinmu, even though he had just defeated an expert of the Jin royal clan, the full moon demon god, he was, after all, injured. He didn't think that Kang Xinmu had the strength to surpass him. Since that was the case, he was definitely the first in the Su royal family. Now that the first in the Su royal family lost to the Ice Moon Silk, didn't that mean that the Su royal family would lose for sure? They definitely couldn't get first place. Su Jiyu and Su Yi were going to be forced to marry Tuoba Shui and Tuoba Jinwu. Absolutely not. Su Tianhao's eyes turned red. Clan leader. Aunt. You must fight for the right to challenge. Otherwise, how can we get first place? Suyu immediately became stern. The result is out. How can you fight for it? You fought for the opportunity yourself. Since you didn't grasp it, you can't blame others. But I harmed Aunt Ne. Su Tianhao's eyes were red. Don't worry, it's not that bad. Su Jiyu smiled faintly. She looked at Kang Xinmu. She had absolute confidence in Kang Xinmu. But now, when Su Tianhao was defeated and lost the right to challenge, everyone was certain that the Su royal family couldn't be first. Of course, even if Su Tianhao was still there, the Su royal family could at most get into the top 5. To get first, did they ask Li Tianxiong and Tuoba Shui? Those two were the absolute candidates for first and second place. As for the Ice Moon Silk, it was merely in the top 5. Right now, Su Tianhao couldn't even beat the Ice Moon Silk. Wasn't he dreaming if he wanted to be first? The key now was whether there was anyone else in the Su royal family that could stand out. But everyone understood that it was too difficult. Strength was not something that could be cultivated overnight. Although the Su royal family seemed to have grasped some of the demon god race's power this time. But this did not bring about a qualitative change. For example, Su Tianhao was still inferior to the Ice Moon Silk. The gap that existed in the past still existed now. It was just that the gap had shrunk a little. Relying on this to get first place was basically a fool's dream. As for Kang Xinmu, although his performance just now was not bad, not many people paid attention to him. Even if they paid attention to him, it was only because of his identity. He was from the dragon god race and was the personal disciple of Emperor Shi's divine dragon. That was all. As for his demon god race strength, no one would acknowledge it. Chapter 55:14. When Su Tianhao was defeated, no one thought that the Su royal family had any hope of taking first place. On the Tuoba royal family's side, they were almost celebrating winning this ranking competition. After all, in their opinion, other than Su Tianhao, there was no one else in the Su royal family who could compare to Tuoba Shui. Of course, the Li Tian clan was also a threat, but Tuoba Shui was still confident. The key was that the Su royal family had completely lost the possibility of taking first place. Then, even if the Tuoba clan could not take first place, it could not be taken by the Su royal family. This meant that they at least kept 2 sacred items. Next, it was up to them to see if they could take first place, and then if they could win the beauties. Whether it was Su Jiyu or Su Yi, they were both beauties that Tuoba Shui wanted. Su Tianhao lost. But others should not lose. The Su royal family's foundation is still there. The Bing royal family only has the Ice Moon Silk. Next, the Su royal family went relatively smoothly. Apart from Su Tianhao, who was unlucky enough to encounter the Ice Moon Silk, everyone else advanced. This made Su Tianhao want to cry. Why? Why did he draw the Ice Moon Silk? This was too despairing. Su Tianhao was very unhappy and had too many regrets. After all, this was his first and last time participating in the ranking competition between the demon god royal family. After this, the next time the competition started, he would be over 30 years old and lose the right to participate again. Damn it. Su Tianhao's entire person was about to collapse. But now, no one cared about what he thought. Within the Su royal family, many people actually had quite a bit of opinions about Su Tianhao. After all, this person usually claimed to be the number one of the younger generation. For example, Su Gui was quite unhappy with Su Tianhao. But Su Gui really could not beat Su Tianhao, so he did not say anything on the surface. Now that he saw Su Tianhao actually defeated by a woman, he was secretly delighted. Of course, until the last moment, Su Gui did not dare to say anything. After all, he did not know how far he could go. If he lost miserably, then wasn't mocking Su Tianhao the same as mocking himself? So Su Gui's current state of mind was very stable. He just had to persevere. The second sentence is about to begin. It's better for Jiyu to draw the lots. Su Er sat in her seat, not wanting to move. Su Jiyu did not decline. Drawing lots was just a representative from the royal family anyway. Soon, she returned with the results of the second round of drawing. Kang Xinmu vs Taba Zhantian. Taba Zhantian. When Kang Xinmu found out who his next opponent was, his expression changed slightly. This fellow was the number 5 figure of the Taba clan in this competition. It wasn't too strong, but it was the first time the Su royal clan had a direct confrontation with the people of the Taba clan. None of the others had any opponents from the Taba clan. Starting from the second match of the second round, the drawing of lots became completely random. It was no longer based on the results of the first round. Therefore, it was possible to encounter any kind of opponent. It's over. When the Su imperial clan saw that Kang Xinmu had actually encountered Tuoba Zhantian, their complexions became unsightly. Tuoba Zhantian was an expert of the Taba clan. Although he was only ranked 5th among the younger generation of the Taba clan, Tuoba Zhantian was still a level 5 super demon god. He was one of Tuoba Shi's loyal followers. Don't worry, big brother. This person is only at level 2 of the transcendent god realm. I will definitely defeat him in one move. Tuoba Zhantian stood up, his face full of a cold smile. He stared at Kang Xinmu, who was sitting in the Su royal clan seats, his eyes full of disdain. In the previous round, Kang Xinmu had fought against the injured Jin Luyue. He didn't display any strength at all, so no one knew how strong he really was. However, other than Su Er, Su Jiyu, and a few others, no one thought that Kang Xinmu could create a miracle. After all, he was only at level 2 of the transcendent god realm. His cultivation was 3 levels lower than the others. How could he fight? The personal disciple of Emperor Shi of the Dragon God clan. Today, I want to see how powerful he is. Tuoba Zhantian laughed loudly. Haha. If he can't beat you, he might turn into a dragon to beat you. Then you have to be careful. I heard that this Kang Xinmu's Dragon God clan's inheritance is very strong. You have to be careful, Yeah, don't give him a slap in the face. The Tuoba royal clan's people joked wildly. In the ranking competition of the Demon God clan's royal clan, it was naturally impossible for Kang Xinmu to use the Dragon God clan's inheritance. It wasn't that he was forbidden to transform into a dragon god, but once he used the Dragon God clan's inheritance, he would naturally be disqualified. On the surface, they were praising Kang Xinmu's Dragon God clan's inheritance for being strong. In reality, they were mocking his Demon God clan's inheritance for being too weak. He was only a level 2 super demon god, and he dared to participate in the ranking competition of the Demon God clan's royal clan. Wasn't this a joke? The Su royal clan and the Tuoba royal clan are finally facing off. Other than the Tuoba royal clan, there were still many people paying attention to the bet between the two clans. That included the Li Tian clan. After all, the bet included 2 sacred items. If the Su royal clan won, the Su royal clan would obtain 2 sacred items. Then the Su royal clan's strength would greatly increase. Although the impact on the whole would not be too great. But, the battle of strength between the Demon God clan's royal clan was built up from the accumulation of small details. Therefore, they could not bear to see the Su royal clan take first place. This is the first direct confrontation between the Su royal clan and the Tuoba royal clan. It's a pity that even Kang Xinmu can't see the Su royal clan's strength. Is there still a need to see? In this generation of the Su royal clan, only Su Tianhao is worth a look. Now that Su Tianhao has been defeated, who else has hope to take first place? Don't tell me it's because of this Kang Xinmu. Ha ha ha. The people from the Li Tian clan were even more direct with their words. They did not give Kang Xinmu any face at all. Although they were only chatting within their own clan, even if there were outsiders present, they would still speak the same way. This was the Li Tian clan. and within the Su royal clan. Many people were already filled with righteous indignation. Why is it Kang Shinmu versus Tuoba Zhantian? If it were me, I would definitely defeat Tuoba Zhantian in 3 moves. Su Gui gritted his teeth and shouted. After Su Tianhao's defeat, Su Gui felt that among all the participants of the Su royal clan, his strength was at least in the top 3. Against Tuoba Zhantian, it was more than enough. However, Chapter 55-15. Kang Shinmu went up to the arena. He ignored everyone's words and went to the center of the arena. He and Tuoba Zhantian would be the first match of this round. Everyone was waiting to see this match. But most people didn't think there was any suspense in this match. Most people were pointing at the center, talking and laughing. They even began to discuss how many moves Tuoba Zhantian would need to defeat Kang Shinmu. Brother Jiang will definitely be fine. Su Yi was confident in Kang Shinmu. Although she wasn't sure what level Kang Shinmu had reached in the inheritance of the Demon God clan, she had enough confidence in Kang Shinmu. No matter what, she believed in Kang Shinmu. Su Yi was a little worried about Kang Shinmu. After all, Tuoba Zhantian was still very strong. Level 5 Super Demon God, with such cultivation and realm, couldn't be defeated easily. He was the most elite of the young generation of the Tuoba royal family. Although Su Yi didn't know how strong Kang Shinmu was, she knew how to observe his body language. Just by looking at Su Er and Su Zhiyu's calm and composed expressions, she felt that there must be an inside story. Su Tianhao was defeated, but he was still so calm. It could only mean that among the remaining people, there was still a possibility of winning first place. The most likely one was undoubtedly Kang Shinmu. Only Su Yi and Su Yi, because they were close to Kang Shinmu and knew about Kang Shinmu's past, would have such confidence in Kang Shinmu. In the arena, Kang Shinmu had already transformed into the body of a 16-winged heavenly demon god. His eyes were cold, like the calmest demon god. Opposite him, Tuoba Zhantian didn't immediately transform into the body of a demon god. Instead, he looked at Kang Shinmu mockingly. Kang Shinmu, you are from the Dragon God clan. It's one thing for you to dominate the dragon gods, but now that you've come to our demon gods, you dare to be so arrogant. You're really seeking your own death. Arrogant? Kang Shinmu was speechless. He didn't seem to have said anything, did he? He didn't know how this guy saw through his arrogance. Kang Shinmu's demon god body looked down at Tuoba Zhantian in his human form. He narrowed his eyes and said, "The demon god race is filled with arrogant people like you?" What? What an arrogant and conceited man. Tuoba Zhantian's face darkened. He really didn't expect that Kang Shinmu would dare to mock him in his own territory. Simply audacious to the extreme. I want to see how you can be so arrogant in a while. Infuriated, Tuoba Zhantian activated the inheritance of the demon god race, the chaotic heavenly fire demon god. The inheritance of the Tuoba royal family was the chaotic heavenly fire demon god. This chaotic heavenly fire demon god, not to mention that Kang Shinmu had mastered its weakness. Even if they fought normally, Kang Shinmu would not be afraid of him. I'm only a second stage super demon god, but I should have no problem dealing with this Tuoba Zhantian. Kang Shinmu estimated his own combat strength. However, in this battle, he could almost break through to the third stage super demon god. He could break through after the battle. Seeing that his opponent had transformed into a chaotic heavenly fire demon god, Kang Shinmu's 16-winged demon god body charged straight at him. Demon Wings Tornado. The 16 wings on Kang Shinmu's back erupted with a terrifying demonic aura. With an invincible stance, it instantly enveloped Tuoba Zhantian's demon god body. For this devil wing tornado, he had directly unleashed his strongest level, the extreme saint realm. Previously, when he was fighting the full moon demon god, he had only used the heaven-grade demonic wing tornado, but now, when he used this demonic martial technique, the sky was filled with pitch-black demonic aura. It was like an endless black fog that shrouded the entire arena. From the 16 wings of his demon god body, a vast amount of demonic aura constantly surged out, forming a rolling demonic fog that crushed down. Tuoba Zhantian had originally thought that Kang Shinmu's strength was not that great. At least in terms of the demon god race, his strength was not that great. But now, he suddenly realized with a start that he was wrong, very wrong. This Kang Shinmu actually comprehended the demon wings tornado to the supreme sage realm. How long has it been? Astonishment appeared in the eyes of Tuoba Zhantian's chaotic heavenly fire demon god body. He had thought that Kang Shinmu had only comprehended it to the heaven level. He did not expect that he would directly comprehend it to the highest level, the supreme sage realm. Back when he fought Jean Luyue, he had gone easy on her. Had Jean Luyue been unable to defeat Kang Shinmu because of her injuries? That was not the case at all. This Kang Shinmu was very strong when it came to the demon god race's heritage. Tuoba Zhantian instantly stopped belittling Kang Shinmu, but he still did not believe that Kang Shinmu was his match. After all, their cultivation levels were 3 levels apart. From his point of view, this difference in cultivation levels was more terrifying than anything else. Very good, this is not considered bullying. Tuoba Zhantian's demon god body revealed a sinister smile. He raised his demon god arms as boundless surging flames seeped out of his demon god skin. It was as though a volcano had erupted in his body, causing churning magma to rush out of his body. Boundless skyfire condensed into a gigantic flaming pillar that surged towards Kang Shinmu's demon wings tornado. Chaos Heaven's explosive inferno pillar. With his angry roar, a total of 9 explosive inferno pillars shot out of his body, instantly dispersing the demonic aura of the demon wings tornado that Kang Shinmu had released. The billowing black demonic aura was blasted apart by the impact of the 9 explosive inferno pillars. In an instant, it was as though there were 9 clashes in the arena. The forces of both sides converged in midair, clashed, and surged out. Tuoba Zhantian was indeed a 5th-level super demon god existence. Just a casual strike from him was enough to disperse the demon wings tornado of the supreme sage realm. The advantage that his cultivation level gave him was too great. If they were at the same cultivation level, Tuoba Zhantian would have been defeated in this clash. But at that moment, it looked like Kang Shinmu was being suppressed. After all, he had made the first move. As for Tuoba Zhantian's casual counterattack, he had repelled the demonic technique that he had cast first. As expected of a 5th-level demon god. He's very strong. Kang Shinmu's expression sank. He could sense Tuoba Zhantian's immense strength. It was the strongest of the younger generation of the demon gods he had ever encountered. Even compared with the most elite young generation of the Dragon God clan, he was even more outstanding. After all, the Fiend Celestial race was ruled by the royal family. Every youth from the royal family had the best and the most cultivation resources. However, to Kang Shinmu, Tuoba Zhantian was not invincible. Chapter 55-16. In the midst of the chaos heavenly fire, Tuoba Zhantian's gigantic Fiend Celestial heritage body took a step towards Kang Shinmu. He was like a Fiend Celestial that had walked out of a sea of fire, his body surging with boiling lava. Your strength is not bad. However, if that's all you have, you are not my match. Tuoba Zhantian's voice was like rolling thunder from beyond the heavens as it resounded throughout the arena. The chaos heavenly fire pillar dispersed the darkness and blasted apart the demonic mist formed by the demonic wing tornado. Immediately following that, he took a step forward. The entire arena seemed to be trembling. Endless streams of magma gushed out from the ground. Chaos smelting fire purgatory. Tuoba Zhantian continued with his supreme god-fiend martial technique. The chaos smelting fire purgatory was his strongest supreme god-fiend martial technique. He had already comprehended it to the extreme sage realm. When he used this move, the chaos heavenly fire fiendish aura in his body erupted completely. It surged throughout the arena. Following that, a terrifying force erupted from the ground and spewed out, enveloping Kang Shinmu's entire 16-winged Skyfian celestial body. The chaos-smelting fire purgatory erupted with endless purgatory power. It used the extremely hot lava to form veins, forming a furnace hell. Kang Shinmu's 16-winged Skyfian celestial body was instantly enveloped. Endless waves of heat surged in from all directions, as though they were trying to melt him into a pool of blood. The explosive power of the chaos-smelting fire purgatory at the extreme sage realm was something that even Kang Shinmu's Skyfian celestial body could not withstand. Skyfian Divine Wings Abyss. Kang Shinmu's 16-winged Skyfian celestial body seemed to have endless black streams of light flowing along its 16 wings. A black beam tore through the void, as though a Skyfian celestial hand had reached out from the void and enveloped Kang Shinmu's Skyfian celestial body. But soon, everyone realized that it was not the Skyfian celestial hand that tore through the void, but the divine wings. Kang Shinmu's 16 wings seemed to link with the powerful existence in the void, weaving a black net of light that condensed into a void abyss. This void abyss enveloped him like a black stream of light that shimmered around him, separating him from the surrounding lava-smelting fire purgatory. This void abyss enveloped him and flashed around him like a black stream of light, isolating him from the surrounding lava-smelting purgatory. The abyss of the heavenly demon god's wings had created the abyss of the heavenly demon god. When Jiang Shenwu completely activated the power of the 16 wings, the defense of the abyss of the heavenly demon god's wings had increased by many times. With the lava-smelting purgatory's defense, even though he was in the endless lava-smelting purgatory, it wasn't affected at all. The eyes of Kang Shinmu's 16-winged Skyfian celestial body flickered with a black light. With the 16 wings spread, he looked like the noblest Skyfian celestial in the world, descending from the sky. Streams of black light formed an insurmountable void abyss that enveloped him, isolating him from the outside world. The lava-smelting purgatory has reached the ultimate saint realm. Tuoba Zhantian's expression changed slightly. He had been fighting against the Su royal family for many years. Naturally, he knew the supreme divine demon martial skills that the Su royal family often used. The lava-smelting purgatory was a martial skill that summoned the void abyss, and it relied on the 16-winged Skyfian celestial wings. At this moment, the lava-smelting purgatory that Kang Shinmu displayed was so powerful that it directly isolated his lava-smelting purgatory, which shocked him. This person was not ordinary. He even seemed to be able to unleash the full power of the 16-winged Skyfian celestial. Tuoba Zhantian didn't know if it was just his imagination, but the Kang Shinmu before him, this young man from the Dragon God clan, seemed different from the other young men of the Su royal family. This feeling made Tuoba Zhantian feel threatened. It seems that I have to use my full strength. Tuoba Zhantian's chaotic heavenly fire demon body was covered in endless flames. In front of his demon god body, the flames condensed into the shape of a giant flaming hammer. This giant flaming hammer seemed to have condensed all the fire power in the world, emitting surging heat waves. The terrifying scarlet light of the heavenly fire made the giant flaming hammer look like a scarlet sun, illuminating the entire wrestling ring. Supreme Divine Demon Weapon, Chaotic Fire Divine Hammer. The eyes of Tuoba Zhantian's demon god body were like erupting volcanoes, emitting endless chaotic heavenly fire. They looked like two flaming eyebrows floating in the air, or like two huge meteors descending from the sky. He reached out his hand. Holding the chaotic fire divine hammer tightly, his demon god body was like a demon representing fire. He lifted his feet, and a burst of scarlet chaotic heavenly fire surged in the whole wrestling ring. Waves of fire spread throughout the wrestling ring. Then, he waved the chaotic fire divine hammer in his hand in the void, as if the whole void was burning. Heavenly Fire Seal. The chaotic fire divine hammer moved the void, and the scarlet flame spread in the whole wrestling ring. Streams of fire were drawn from the void. These streams of fire swept toward Kang Shinmu's demon god body and entangled the abyss of his heavenly devil wings. Originally, Kang Shinmu's abyss of the heavenly devil wings was like the most stable defense, isolating him from the outside world and preventing him from being hurt. But at this moment, the abyss of the heavenly devil wings was entangled by the heavenly fire explosion energy, and there was an indescribable sealing power that completely sealed the abyss of the heavenly devil wings into the void. With the super firepower of the chaotic fire divine hammer, the heavenly fire explosion energy, which was originally at the supreme level, even completely sealed Kang Shinmu's entire 16-winged heavenly devil body. Kang Shinmu felt that all his strength was being rapidly drained, and he was being sealed in an absolute void. Have you used a supreme god-level demon weapon? In that case, I also have a supreme god-level demon weapon. The formless weapon, Chen Xing, was not a specialized supreme god-level demon weapon, but it could exert the same effect on any means of the demon god clan. Convert, Void Battle Runes. In the formless Chen Xing, Kang Shinmu converted all the battle runes into void battle runes. At this moment, his whole person's sensitivity to the power of the void erupted in an instant, and it was several times stronger than before. Originally, his perception of the power of the void had already surpassed that of ordinary people. At this moment, he completely crushed his opponent. He could clearly feel that the void in this wrestling ring was flowing like a long river, and at this moment, it had been disturbed by the two of them. Demon Wings Tornado, explode. Kang Shinmu still used the same supreme god-level demon martial technique, but this time, it was enhanced by the formless weapon, Chen Xing, and it had a terrifying power of the void. Chapter 55-17. It was the same demonic wing tornado, a transcendent divine demon martial technique. However, after Jiang Shenwu executed the formless celestial weapons, its might was completely different. His opponent's heavenly fire explosion seal was directly shattered. Tuoba Zhantian's expression changed dramatically. He had never thought that Kang Shinmu would be able to break the heavenly fire explosion seal with the help of his chaotic fire refining divine hammer. Endless void energy flowed in the surrounding space and enveloped Kang Shinmu's 16-winged heavenly demon god body. A terrifying shockwave rippled through the entire arena. Kang Shinmu took a step forward, and the 16 black wings on his back fluttered with the void, almost merging with the entire space. 1,000 demon wing blades. Kang Shinmu raised his hand, and the 16 wings on his back stretched out instantly. Countless black blades emerged from the demon god's wings. Along with the formless star weapon battle runes, the battle runes were all transformed into offensive battle runes. Endless heaven and earth energy gathered from all directions, as if forming a vortex of power. Kill. The endless 1,000 demon wing blades traveled through the void with the whistling sound of the wind. This paramount sage transcendent divine demon martial technique caused Tuoba Zhantian's expression to change drastically the moment he attacked. So powerful. Tuoba Zhantian felt that he could not resist the aura alone. It was too powerful. The strength of the attack was not something that a stage 2 supreme demon god could release. What was wrong with this guy? Or was it that the MO weapon in his hand was something out of the ordinary? What was so unusual about it? What he did not know was that the formless weapon was extraordinary. All the battle runes could be changed freely, and when used to strengthen the attack, it could increase its destructive power by at least 10 times. This was not only suitable for dragon martial skills, but also for demon martial skills. Tuoba Zhantian had already cultivated the 1,000 demon wing blades to the ultimate divine realm. With the addition of the formless star weapon battle runes, its power was far beyond his cultivation level. At this moment, countless strands of devil energy had converged into countless blades, and they pressed down towards Tuoba Zhantian like a storm. It formed a whirlwind of blades, containing a boundless cold and pitch-black aura. An austere aura spread throughout the entire area. Every blade seemed to be able to cut through the void, traversing through the void. The chaos-refining fire divine hammer in Tuoba Zhantian's hand also erupted with endless power at this moment. Like a lava volcano, the giant hammer in his hand bloomed, and a scarlet color was born and spread around his demon god body. Endless magma sea. Flowing lava. The entire arena seemed to have turned into a sea of fire. Even the void started to burn. Countless surging lava rose from the endless molten sea. They transformed into ancient flame phantoms that welcomed the demonic energy blades that filled the sky. The transcendent divine demon martial techniques of both sides clashed at this moment and instantly exploded. Countless fragments of the devil chi blade exploded with a loud bang. Even the crimson lava was blown to smithereens in the vortex of power. In the endless molten sea, surging flame phantoms continuously appeared. However, every time a flame phantom formed, it would be smashed into pieces by the surrounding pitch-black blades. The endless blade phantoms even suppressed the entire molten sea. It was as if a sea of water was pouring down from the sky, extinguishing the sea of flames. The original scarlet and black colors quickly turned black. The entire arena was shrouded by the 1,000 demon wing blades, and it became a world of pitch-black blades. Suppress. Kang Shinmu took another step forward, and his huge demon god body descended like a demon god. Accompanied by countless pitch-black demon wing blades, Kang Shinmu suddenly appeared like a demon god. The endless molten sea was suppressed by the 1,000 demon wing blades. Kang Shinmu's arrival was like the final mountain that completely suppressed Taba Zhantian's demon god body and forced him to retreat. Ah! Tuoba Zhantian let out a roar, but his celestial demon body was completely suppressed by Jiang Shenwu. His celestial demon body was completely suppressed, causing him to fall to the ground, unable to stand up again. Extinguish. The surrounding lava, which still wanted to erupt, was suppressed by Kang Shinmu's demonic energy and extinguished. Only the pitch-black shadow of the 1,000 demon wing blades remained. Kang Shinmu, 1. This scene caused all the spectators to stop talking, and their expressions became extremely interesting. Before the fight started, they thought that Kang Shinmu of the Su royal family would definitely not be able to defeat Taba Zhantian. After all, one was a second-stage super demon god, and the other was a fifth-stage super demon god. They were even discussing how many moves Taba Zhantian would need to defeat Kang Shinmu. However, in the blink of an eye, Kang Shinmu completely suppressed Taba Zhantian. Taba Zhantian is defeated. In the Taba royal family's seating area, everyone's expression became gloomy. They did not expect Taba Zhantian to lose. It was true that Taba Zhantian would not be able to make it to the end, but this was only the second round. Moreover, his opponent was only a second-stage super demon god. The personal disciple of Emperor Shi's divine dragon is indeed worthy of his reputation. Everyone exclaimed. As for the Taba family, they now looked down on Taba Zhantian. He could not even defeat a second-stage super god. Moreover, this kid mainly cultivated the inheritance of the dragon gods. Logically speaking, he should not be strong in the inheritance of the demon gods. However, they only thought about this in their hearts. After all, in this battle, Kang Shinmu had displayed terrifying combat strength. He had displayed 3 supreme divine demon skills, and they were all comprehended to the supreme sage realm. How long ago did this fellow start cultivating demonic martial techniques? As for Kang Shinmu comprehending the supreme sage realm in such a short time, they did not believe it. However, this was a supreme divine demon skill. It would be extremely difficult to comprehend and cultivate it before reaching the supreme sage realm. It might even be impossible to successfully cultivate it. And before Kang Shinmu came to the demon god race great world, he had not reached the level of a supreme demon god. This meant that Kang Shinmu might really have comprehended 3 supreme divine demon skills to the supreme sage realm in such a short time in the demon god race great world. This was a little terrifying. Unfortunately, they did not know that the supreme sage realm demonic skills that Kang Shinmu had comprehended were not just 3. There were 6. It was just that there was no need to use them all now. This kid is too terrifying. With this kid's help, the Su royal family's future is limitless. The strength of our demon god race royal family is going to change. Many people were a little worried. Chapter 55:18. The worry of the Su royal family being too powerful resurfaced in everyone's mind. Originally, when they saw Su Tianhao fail, every single one of them heaved a sigh of relief, in case Su Tianhao's luck was good and he really took first place. Those two sacred objects of heaven and earth raised the Su dynasty too much. But now, they realized it was no longer a matter of the two sacred items. Instead, they were going to face a genius, a super genius with terrifying talent in the inheritance of a 16-winged heavenly fiend god. This was much more terrifying than the two sacred items. A sacred item could become a part of the royal family's strength, and it could improve the royal family's battle power. But, a super genius could directly bring the royal family's strength to a whole new level. These were two different concepts. To the other demon god royal family members, the current Kang Shinmu seemed to have such potential. And, something even more terrifying had come. Just as everyone was discussing Kang Shinmu did something unexpected. His entire body started to surge with the power of the void, while boundless spiritual energy started to gather towards him from all around the arena. Breakthrough. He was breaking through. Everyone's eyes were filled with incredulity. How was this possible? It was not that he could not break through after a battle, or during the ranking competition. The key was, how long had Kang Shinmu been in the demon god great world? How could he break through again in such a short time? Did he think breaking through was child's play? At this moment, everyone was shocked. Even Su Yi, and the other members of the Su royal family were shocked. Wasn't this too terrifying? This Kang Shinmu actually chose to break through in the arena. How long had it been since he last broke through? Too fast. Everyone was so shocked that they couldn't say a word. Tuoba Shui, who had always been extremely arrogant, now had a gloomy expression. Even the Tuoba clan leader, Tuoba Matian, was somewhat uncertain. Originally, Tuoba Matian and Tuoba Shui were full of confidence. But now, they felt a great danger. This Kang Shinmu could defeat Tuoba Zhantian when he was at the second level of the super demon god. If he were to break through to the third level of the transcendent god, what would happen? Wouldn't that mean that even Tuoba Shui might not be a match for him? Of course, this was not because he had no confidence in Tuoba Shui, but because he felt threatened. He felt that Kang Shinmu might be able to compete with Tuoba Shui. Tuoba Matian didn't think that his grandson would be as weak as Tuoba Zhantian. But no matter what, Kang Shinmu still gave him the possibility of being a threat. Even if there was only a slight threat, it had to be extinguished as soon as possible. In the long run, Tuoba Matian did not know what changes Kang Shinmu could bring to the Su royal family. But he knew that he absolutely couldn't allow Kang Shinmu to become the first in the ranking competition this time. Otherwise, the Taba clan would suffer heavy losses. Stop his breakthrough. This was the method that Tuoba Devil Heaven thought of. Furthermore, this idea constantly sprouted in his heart, and he would soon put it into practice. Unfortunately, at this moment, Su Er stood up. Su Jiyu also stood up. Kang Shinmu is the personal disciple of Emperor Shi's divine dragon. If everyone plans to make a move now, are you planning to offend Emperor Shi's divine dragon? Offending Emperor Shi's divine dragon is nothing. After all, no one is afraid of a mere Emperor Shi's divine dragon, but Kang Shinmu, our young friend, is here to help our demon god race. To increase the strength of our demon god race. To our entire demon god race great world, he is here with friendly intentions. Let me ask, if everyone interrupts his breakthrough now, will it affect the relationship between the demon god race and the dragon god race? If Emperor Shi's divine dragon wants to stand up for his disciple, what will the rest of the dragon god race think? They will definitely make a move together. Su Er calmly said. And when these words came out, Tuoba Matian and the rest all calmed down. That's right. This Kang Shinmu was a member of the dragon god race. He was the personal disciple of Emperor Shi's divine dragon. If an accident happened during the battle, then it was fine if their skills were inferior. But now, he was breaking through. If you went over to disturb his breakthrough and caused him to fail, what would he think? In short, whoever makes a move now will be plotting to provoke a conflict between the two great races. If the Dragon God race really attacks, whoever makes a move will be the vanguard to resist the Dragon God race. Su Er narrowed her eyes and said, "Whoever dares to take on this responsibility, feel free to make a move." When her voice fell, the entire place was silent. How would they dare? Who would dare to take on this responsibility? Even Tuoba Matian did not dare. He was really not afraid of Emperor Shi's divine dragon's hostility. He also did not think that affecting Kang Shinmu's breakthrough would cause the Dragon God race to invade. But what if? What if the Dragon God race went crazy and wanted to seek justice for Kang Shinmu? At that time, the Tuoba royal family would be the vanguard. He did not even need to think to know the consequences. The Demon God race was one of the 24 royal families. How could they go against the entire Dragon God race? Moreover, the Dragon God race's sacred land was not to be trifled with. Even if the Dragon God race did not come, just the 5 extreme mysterious ice sacred land would be enough. With this thought, Tuoba Matian immediately suppressed the idea of stopping Kang Shinmu's breakthrough. The reason why he did not make a move was because he had some misgivings. And Su Er's words had turned his misgivings into reality. After all, Su Er had already said this first. If he made a move, it would make the Dragon God race even angrier. If the Dragon God race knew about this. Are you, Tuoba Matian, looking down on the Dragon God race? Failure. Tuoba Matian's expression became even gloomier. Matian, when you meet this lad, don't show mercy. If you can kill him directly. If an accident happens during the competition, he can't blame anyone. Tuoba Matian sneered. Yes. Tuoba Matian's eyes lit up. This was exactly what he wanted. It would be too boring if his hands and feet were tied on the stage. This Kang Shinmu could defeat Tuoba Zhantian with Transcendent God Stage 2 cultivation, which showed that his foundation was not bad. Now that he had broken through to Transcendent God Stage 3, Tuoba Matian felt that this lad was qualified to be his disciple. At the very least, he was stronger than Su Tianhao. Kang Shinmu's breakthrough was completed very quickly. Under everyone's gaze, he seemed to be isolated from the outside world, wholeheartedly focusing on his breakthrough. Not long after, his entire aura suddenly changed. Super Demon God Stage 3. He opened his eyes. He was very clear that no one could make a move against him now that he had broken through. Otherwise, it would incite a conflict between the two races. Because of this, he was at ease to break through now. And after the breakthrough, his strength was even stronger than before. Just the foundation of the Demon God race alone was more than twice as strong as before. Moreover, it was more compatible with the 16-winged combat cultivation law. Logically speaking, the 16-winged combat cultivation law could only be comprehended by a supreme being. But he had comprehended it now. Chapter 55-19. Kang Shinmu had comprehended the 16-winged combat cultivation law because he had devoured the main body of the demon god ancestor. This allowed him to directly obtain the strongest comprehension of the 16-winged combat cultivation law. However, his current demon god body could not withstand its full power. Therefore, at the super demon god stage, he could only use a portion of the 16-winged combat cultivation law's power. At the first level of the transcendent god, he could use about 10% of it. At the second level of the Transcendent God, he could use 20% of it. And now, Kang Shinmu had broken through to the third level of the Transcendent God and could use 30% of it. This was improvement. Not only did his basic strength increase, but he could also use the 16-winged combat cultivation law's power to increase his strength even more. Soon, Kang Shinmu completed his breakthrough and returned to the Su royal family seats. The ranking competition between the royal family of the demon god race naturally continued. Suddenly, an unexpected figure came to the side of the Su dynasty's seats. Li Tian clan, Li Tian Xiong. This was a burly man who looked relatively young. There were a few strands of stripes on his cheeks that looked like tiger stripes. Junior Li Tian Xiong greets the two seniors. He ran over and directly bowed to Su Er and Su Jiu. Are you here to look for Kang Shinmu? Su Shen did not even ask. He raised his eyebrows. What's the matter? The Su royal family had never been on bad terms with the Li Tian clan. After all, their territories were relatively far apart and there had not been many conflicts between them. Hee, it's not a big deal. Li Tian Xiong touched the back of his head, looking somewhat naive. I just have something to ask Brother Kang Shinmu. I have a younger sister who is now of marriageable age. If Brother Jiang is willing, pooh. When Li Tian Xiong said this, the surrounding people immediately burst into laughter. Li Tian Xiong's younger sister? Wasn't that also a burly existence? It was somewhat impolite to burst into laughter like this, but they could not help it. This Kang Shinmu was too fierce. You have to ask him, Su Er said lightly. He did not laugh. However, he did not laugh. As the clan leader, he still had this bit of patience. Moreover, this matter had nothing to do with him. Of course, if Kang Shinmu really marries Li Tianxiong's sister, then the Su clan, he believed that Kang Shinmu would not make such a choice. Moreover, Li Tianxiong couldn't have really come to propose for his sister. This was just a signal. This signal was. Li Tian clan did not want to be enemies with Kang Shinmu. Sorry, I already have someone I like. Kang Shinmu stood up and cupped his fists towards the power sky bear. He tilted his head and looked down at Su Yi, who was beside him, and smiled. Is that so? That's too bad. Li Tian Xiong laughed, obviously not angry, but we can still be brothers. Brother Jiang, feel free to visit our Li Tian family when you're free. We'll treat you like a brother. In the Li Tian clan, the word brother was often used. It was what people on their side meant. Kang Shinmu didn't quite understand, but he could tell that Li Tian Xiong didn't see him as an enemy. Alright, I'll definitely go if I have the chance. Kang Shinmu said a few more words, and Li Tian Xiong left. This Li Tian clan. When Kang Shinmu first came up, they were still mocking him. I didn't think they'd come to express goodwill. On the Su clan side, someone laughed in disdain. That's the specialty of the Li Tian clan. Su Jiu smiled faintly. They are more straightforward in their dealings. If they look down on someone, they'll say it out loud. As for who they like, they'll say it out loud. Kang Shinmu liked this kind of personality. But some people didn't. Now that Li Tian Xiong came to Kang Shinmu's side to express goodwill, the Tuoba clan was displeased. But they couldn't do anything about it. If the Li Tian clan was a small royal clan, they'd probably be suppressed by the Tuoba clan. The ranking competition continued. Su Yi and Su Ye's opponents weren't very strong. Their combat power was rather strong. Even if their opponents were Transcendent God Stage 4, they could still fight them head-on. This once again shocked all the experts of the Demon God clan's royal family. Clearly, the Su clan's participation in this competition had revealed something. They'd grasped a stronger power of inheritance. It was evident from Kang Shinmu, Su Yi, and Su Yi. And Su Tianhao didn't show it before because he hadn't grasped this new power of inheritance, which was the 14-winged battle cultivation law. No wonder the second group had such a huge advantage in the first round. It's Kang Shinmu, Su Yi, and Su Yi. They gave the entire team a huge boost. The Su clan's last trump card is actually Kang Shinmu. It's a little hard to believe. Everyone clicked their tongues in wonder. And Su Tianhao's expression was even uglier now. He didn't expect this. He really didn't expect that he'd originally thought he was the main force. In the end, he was just a foil, and even an abandoned foil. He believed that if Su Yu and Su Jiu were willing to pay some resources, they would definitely be able to get the other royal clans to vote together and give him the right to challenge. But they didn't. It's all because of Kang Xinmu. Su Tianhao clenched his fists. He thought that if there was no Kang Xinmu, Su Yu and Su Zhiyu would definitely do their best to protect him, right? But he didn't think about it. If there was no Kang Xinmu, why would Su Zhiyu agree to the Tuoba clan's bet? Clearly, Su Zhiyu didn't think much of Su Tianhao. It was only because she believed in Kang Xinmu that she agreed to the Tuoba clan's bet. Very good, Su Gui also won. Our clan's total score has increased again. With Su Gui's victory, a total of 14 people from the Su clan advanced to the third round. This was also in line with the previous ranking competitions. The overall strength of the Su clan was still relatively strong. Although Su Tianhao unexpectedly lost to the Ice Moon Silk, no matter what, as long as the others weren't too unlucky, they wouldn't encounter too strong opponents. After all, there were so many people drawing lots, and there were only a few strong people. Speaking of which, among the opponents the Su clan met, Kang Xinmu's opponent, Tuoba Zhantian, was the strongest, but he was still defeated by Kang Xinmu. The third round quickly began to draw lots. Both the Tuoba clan and the Li Tian clan advanced 13 people. The Ice Moon Silk also advanced. The other royal clans had 7 or 8 people in the middle level advance, and the weaker ones had 2 or 3 people advance. After all, every clan and royal family had to nurture a few experts of the younger generation. Chapter 55-20. Soon, the results of the third round were out. Kang Xinmu's opponent was a level 4 super demon god from the Bing royal family. She seemed to be Bing Yueying, the younger sister of Bing Yueying. She was also very talented. According to the demon god Ancestral, she could unleash at least 90% of the 0-degree demon god's power. Unfortunately, her talent was overshadowed by her sister, Bing Yueying, causing her to not be very outstanding. Some were unknown. But Bing Yueying didn't seem to hate her sister. After all, in the Bing royal family's current environment, the two sisters had a common goal: to make the Bing royal family flourish. Why would they want to fight among themselves? Bing Yueying against Kang Xinmu. I'm afraid there's no hope. But we can try to get Bing Yueying the right to challenge. The Bing royal family began to discuss. Everyone, don't jump to conclusions. Bing Yueying squinted her eyes and said, I know Yueying's strength very well. Other than not reaching level 5, her talent in other areas is comparable to mine. She might not lose against Kang Xinmu. She knew her sister's strength very well. So, she had confidence in her sister. Although Kang Xinmu was very strong, she believed her sister could handle him. However, Jiang Xinwu only displayed the power of a transcendent god stage 2. And now, Kang Xinmu is already at level 3. Many people in the Bing royal family thought like that, but they didn't say it. At a time like this, they couldn't hurt their own morale. Everything could wait until the battle was over. The entire Bing royal family was quite united. After all, among the 24 royal families, the Bing royal family could be said to be at the bottom. Not only did they not have many peak experts, but they also had very few people. If they couldn't rise in the future, the 24 imperial clans would become 23 imperial clans. So, they had to be united. It's over. Just then, Su Zhiyu announced that in the third round, Su Yi would fight against Tuoba Shui. This caused the expressions of the Su royal family to turn ugly. With Tuoba Shui's strength, he was definitely a popular candidate for the championship. Although Su Yi was not weak, his true strength was definitely not stronger than Tuoba Shi. He might even be slightly weaker than Tuoba Zhantian. Against Tuoba Shi, it was basically a crushing defeat. Moreover, under the current circumstances, she might very well be humiliated. But if they lost without fighting, it would make the Su dynasty feel even more humiliated. This lot drawing is really easy. Su bitterly smiled. Su Jiu curled her lips and said, I can't help it. This was purely a matter of luck. Su Yi, you must be careful later. No one persuaded Su Yi to admit defeat. Because on a stage like this, it was impossible to admit defeat before the fight even started. Su Yi was speechless. He did not expect that he would be fighting against the strongest Tuoba Su. Su Yi, come here. At this moment, Jiang Shenwu called out to Su Yi and whispered something into her ear. This sentence was about the chaotic heavenly fire demon god of the Tuoba royal family. It had a specific weakness. This was what the demon god ancestor told Kang Shinmu. And now, Kang Shinmu told Su Yi. Knowing this, Su Yi might not be able to defeat Tuoba Shui, but at least he could block Tuoba Shui's attack and not be humiliated. Although Su Ye's cultivation was much lower than Tuoba Shui's, Kang Shinmu felt that this battle would be very exciting. The weakness of the chaotic heavenly fire demon god had never been known. And this time, it would be exposed. Of course, even if he knew the weakness of the chaotic heavenly fire demon god, it would be difficult to defeat the Tuoba royal family's expert. At most, it would strengthen his defense a little. But this could still narrow the gap between him and his opponent. Su royal family. The highlight of this round was on Kang Shinmu and Su Yi. Kang Shinmu versus Bing Yueying. Bing Yueying was slightly weaker than Bing Yueying, so everyone was thinking that Kang Shinmu would not lose to Bing Yueying. But he should not be too much stronger. After all, in everyone's opinion, although Kang Shinmu had defeated Tuoba Zhantian, his strength had not reached the pinnacle level. One must know that Tuoba Zhantian was only ranked 5th among the Tuoba clan's younger generation experts. Defeating Tuoba Zhantian was not too strong. Bing Yueying was only at the 4th level of the transcendent god realm, but she could grasp a lot of the 0-degree demonic god's inheritance power, so her battle strength would not be too weak. First, there were 2 matches between the other royal families. Then, it was Kang Shinmu versus Bing Yueying's turn. Kang Shinmu went up the stage. The body of the 16-winged heavenly fiend celestial landed. In the arena, demonic energy rampaged, and pitch black whistled. Bing Yueying's expression was solemn. She was tall and slender, just like her sister, Bing Yueying. But obviously, in terms of the 0-degree demonic god's inheritance power, she was slightly weaker than Bing Yueying. However, this made Kang Shinmu pay attention to this lady's strength, so he did not let his guard down. Su Tianhao was defeated by Bing Yueying because of his carelessness, and he did not even get the right to challenge. Kang Shinmu, I want to win. Bing Yueying said seriously. It's a pity, I don't want to lose either. Kang Shinmu said seriously. Let's fight. Bing Yueying nodded her head firmly, and instantly turned into a giant ice demon. Her entire body was covered in ice and snow, and the entire arena seemed to have fallen into a world of ice and snow. Facing Kang Shinmu, she chose to take the initiative to attack. Mixed element extreme ice chains. Her gigantic ice mountain demon god body was surrounded by the power of ice and snow, which then condensed into terrifying chains of ice that swept out from the void. Mixed element extreme ice chains, a total of 888 chains, shrouded the sky and earth. Ice scattered, and the temperature of the arena plummeted, as if everything was going to be frozen into ice sculptures. In the void, the chaotic extreme ice chains swept towards Jiang Shenwu's 16-winged sky demon god body from all directions at high speed. Boundless ice energy came crashing down, and in an instant, it trapped Kang Shinmu's demon body. Extreme cold energy, riot. All the power in Bing Yueying's body erupted. She even used the power of her transcendent demonic weapon. With the support of the offensive battle patterns, the power of extreme frost in her body was instantly transferred to Jiang Shenwu's 16-winged heavenly fiend celestial body through the chaotic extreme ice chains. The entire arena was filled with ice, and a storm was brewing. The mixed element extreme ice chains that were entangling Kang Shinmu's demon body were completely shattered, and boundless ice energy exploded. The shattered ice energy even seeped into the void, and corroded the body of Kang Shinmu's demon body. Profound of the heavenly demon god, abyss of the heavenly demon god's wings. Kang Shinmu, facing the opponent's attack, finally used his defensive demon martial technique. Chapter 55-21. Abyss of Demonic Wings. It was the defensive demonic martial technique that Kang Shinmu cultivated. At that moment, it erupted with boundless and terrifying void power, devouring the power of the mixed element extreme ice chains. Previously, when fighting against Taba Zhantian, Kang Shinmu had already used this move. Now that he used it again, the void power erupted from the 16 demonic wings and instantly crushed Bing Yueying's mixed element extreme ice chains. I have already broken through to the Transcendent God Stage 3. My basic strength is already twice as strong as before. A mere Transcendent God Stage 4 opponent can no longer threaten me. Kang Shinmu was very certain of this. Bing Yueying's strength was not weak, but it was at most similar to Taba Zhantian. Before he broke through, he could already defeat Taba Zhantian. Now that he had broken through to the next stage, he was an existence that could crush Taba Zhantian. Demonic Wings Tornado, explode. The 16 wings behind Kang Shinmu whistled, bringing with them surging demonic aura tornadoes. The demonic aura that filled the sky gathered into several tornadoes, suppressing the cold aura in the arena. Extreme Frost Nation. Boundless cold aura surged out of Bing Yueying's demonic body. Frost cracks appeared in the surrounding void. Facing Kang Shinmu's demonic wings tornado, Bing Yueying gritted her teeth and resisted. The frost crumbled as she tried to freeze the demonic aura tornadoes that filled the sky. However, Kang Shinmu's strength was too strong. Even though Bing Yueying had already erupted with her strongest battle power, she still could not resist the waves of demonic wings tornado. The 16 wings that formed the demonic wings tornado crushed all the frost along the way, finally suppressing Bing Yueying's demonic body. Being enveloped by the boundless pressure, Bing Yueying gritted her teeth and tried to hold on, but she could not hold on any longer. Just one move. Jiang Shenwu's demonic wing tornado was enough to make her completely unable to withstand it. In the end, she could only admit defeat and admit defeat. I admit defeat. Feeling the terrifying pressure, Bing Yueying knew that she could only admit defeat. She was somewhat unwilling. Why did he meet such an opponent? She was actually forced to admit defeat in the third round. She was only at the 4th level of the Transcendent God. Even if she had the right to challenge, it would be very difficult for her to succeed in the end. Therefore, her ranking basically ended here. Damn it. I originally planned to bring glory to the clan, but I didn't expect. Bing Yueying could only leave the stage regretfully. Kang Shinmu returned victorious. The result of this battle was within the expectations of most people. After all, Kang Shinmu's combat strength was too strong, completely exceeding his cultivation by 2 levels. As for Bing Yueying, she could be considered to be rather strong within the Bing Imperial clan. In fact, she had always been second only to the Bing Yueying Silk. He was seen as the second trump card of the Bing tribe's rise. Unfortunately, maybe it was because Bing Yueying was too young. If she was 2 years older, she would be able to soar into the sky in this year's ranking competition. However, Bing Yueying isn't that old. She can still participate in the next ranking competition. When the next ranking competition comes, I'm afraid it will be Bing Yueying's time to reign supreme. Everyone sighed with emotion. Bing Yueying was one of the youngest amongst the experts participating in the ranking competition. Of course, Suyi and Suyi weren't that old either. They could also participate in the next ranking competition. But in comparison, Bing Yueying was stronger than the 2 girls. No matter what, Kang Shinmu was more concerned about the following battle. Suyi against Tuoba Shui. Countless people wanted to see this battle. They were extremely curious. What method would Tuoba Shui use to humiliate Suyi? Suyi was a beauty of the Su royal family. Once she was humiliated by an expert of the Tuoba family, she would lose face. But the Su royal family couldn't avoid the battle. That would be even more embarrassing. Of course, most of them were thinking that this battle should end when the time was right. Let's see how Tuoba Shui would humiliate Su Yi before she admitted defeat. This was a little difficult. After a few battles, it was finally Su Ye's turn to fight. Sister Su Yi, you can do it. Su Yi cheered for Su Yi. Su Yi nodded. She was extremely beautiful and her expression was solemn. She was originally very nervous. After all, she knew very well what kind of person Tuoba Shui was. But she didn't expect that Kang Xinmu would give her a way to deal with it. She wasn't sure if this method would work. But it was her last resort. If she wanted to last long enough on the stage and then admit defeat, she could only rely on the method that Kang Xinmu mentioned. Tuoba royal family. In their seats. Tuoba Shui stood up. His tall and sturdy body, coupled with his cold expression, made him seem a bit frightening, and the hint of a sneer in his eyes let others know that he would not easily let go of the chance to humiliate the Su dynasty. A mere super demonic god level 2. This time, I'll let the Su royal family have a good time. Tuoba Shui had waited for this moment for a long time. In this ranking competition, he gambled 2 of the royal family's heaven and earth sacred treasures in order to obtain the Su royal family's women. And now, he could directly humiliate Su Yi on the stage. Brother Shui, this match is up to you. Let the Su royal family have a good look at our strength. That's right, let this girl understand the manliness of our Tuoba family men. Haha. In the Tuoba royal family, everyone laughed loudly, without the slightest worry. They couldn't be clearer about Tuoba Shui's strength. He definitely wouldn't lose to Su Yi. This girl was only super god level 2. Compared to Tuoba Shui, the difference was too great. She was simply not Tuoba Shui's opponent. What everyone was more concerned about was, how many moves could Su Yi withstand under Tuoba Shui's hands? If she couldn't even withstand one move, would she directly admit defeat? If that was the case, it wouldn't be fun. Don't worry, I have a way to prevent her from admitting defeat. Haha. Tuoba Shui coldly laughed out loud. He had a special method that could prevent Su Yi from admitting defeat. That was, to make her shut her mouth. He cultivated a special demonic martial technique that could make people shut their mouths. At certain times, it had a miraculous effect. Now, it finally came in handy. If Su Yi couldn't open her mouth to admit defeat, wouldn't that mean that she would be at his mercy? He could even touch her from head to toe in front of everyone. Both sides enter the arena. Following the declaration of a demon god clan elder, Tuoba Shui and Su Yi stood up and stepped into the arena. Tuoba Shui looked at Su Yi as though he was looking at a sheep that had no ability to resist. Su Yi didn't seem to be afraid. She stood gracefully in the arena and looked at Tuoba Shui, as though thinking about how to deal with this situation. In reality, she had already thought of this. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.